Hey everybody. So I have someone that I personally, and I know you are very excited to talk to right now. It's been something in the works for about a month or so. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Oh my God, I can't even say it again. Ariadna. I can't. I feel like I'm butchering your name.
Ariadna.
I'm so
Close enough.
sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She owns a company called Influences. You probably 100% have seen many of the people that she manages and represents and helps out and stuff like that. But if you don't mind, Ari, because you said I can shorten it down a little bit since I'm a little bit speech impediment here. Ari, if you don't mind, can you maybe tell us a little about like who you are, what your background is, and how you got started on this for people who haven't heard of you or are still kind of getting up to speed on TikTok and stuff?
Yeah, so I'll bring it back, so you guys get my background. I was born in Mexico City, and I grew up in the Bay Area. I moved to the United States when I was like 4 years old. And so I lived right outside of San Francisco right before the big tech wave hit, the first big tech wave hit. And as a kid, I was just really obsessed with technology. I spent hours, creating content before any of the current social media platforms existed. And I would beg my parents to buy me more bandwidth so I could upload videos before YouTube was even invented, before YouTube was out. I taught myself how to do HTML code, learned Dreamweaver, built websites, and I basically became like one of the only female, programmers, computer nerds amongst all my peers. And I'm really like a tech geek at heart. And I really also just love like figuring things out, from watching YouTube videos or anything. I like, if I get interested in something, I obsess about it and I have to learn everything about it. So I'm just really curious. And, my background also growing up, like, if you asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, I wanted to be like in advertising, like the movie, What Women Want and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Those were my favorite two movies because it was like about these advertising executives that were like coming out with like frost yourself, like, and that whole idea was always like what I wanted to do. But and I think part of it was like storytelling and people. It's really what I'm passionate about. So after college, I actually realized that the nightlife scene in San Diego, I lived in San Diego, I went to San Diego State. I realized that the nightlife scene like needed a little more buzz. And so I basically became like a social media marketing promoter for nightclubs, bars, restaurants, venues, hotels. I actually started a company called Red Rope Reviews, and it was like a Yelp for nightclubs, bars, and restaurants when I was 21. And then I got hired at a nightclub. I opened up every major nightclub in San Diego. And doing so, I was coming up with the logos for the company, all the way to like doing the social media posts. And but I was also the VIP manager, so I basically was surrounded by VIPs and professional athletes, hedge fund CEOs, celebrities, models, you name it. And I cultivated relationships in that space that eventually brought me to LA. And in between that time, I also worked for a digital agency for about 3 years, and I worked basically in sales, but I was kind of like more client strategy, where I would sell something that was an idea of mine, like, oh, I think you could do this with Vine. And at the time when Vine was very new, I was working with MasterCard, for example. So, I had like a really diverse like set of like a skill set that was very diverse. I would say, when you're working in a nightclub, you're working with high-end people. You have to be super patient. You have to be really strategic about, who's going to be friendly with who and how, humor interaction is going to be, and negotiating rates, because the more popular the nightclub night is, the more expensive the tables are. And I'm saying this because it all makes sense now based on what I do now. But came out to LA like 3 years ago, and I essentially, because I had actually met Gary Vee in 2009 or so, and I was like obsessed with him. He was like my hero before anybody knew who he was. And I had lunch with him one time, or I forget, we had like coffee. And basically at that time, nobody knew you could make money off like, doing vlogs and stuff. Like it was just weird to have a vlog, but I was watching Gary and I was making my own vlogs, like with my BlackBerry. And Gary believed in me. Everybody else was like, what the hell is this kid doing? Including my parents. Like I had to be in school and college, and I couldn't just drop out and be a YouTuber because couldn't make money on it at the time. But Gary believed in me, and we have like built a really close friendship throughout the years. And so having that access to Gary when I moved to LA, I met all these influencers, and I realized that like a lot of them were dealing with more traditional talent managers and talent agents. And those traditional talent managers and talent agents, when they get on the phone with the brand, like a brand like CMO is used to people sucking up to them because they want their budget. They're not used to an agent being like, well, how much you gonna, it's 50 grand, or like throwing a number. Like those types of people turn off a marketing executive who like has KPIs and like has to, they're not going to take a risk on getting fired just so they can hire Amanda Cerny or whoever, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter how many followers she is. If it's not going to back out for them, it's not going to back out. So having that marketing knowledge, like I just became friends with a lot of the YouTubers and Vine people. So I was, through that whole, I actually moved into 1600 Vine, and I was bringing in like, and at one point I lived in like an influencer mansion. So I was like in there with them. I was old enough that I had some experience in marketing, but also young enough that I was like cool and I'd get invited to the party, So I just got to know them. Oops, sorry. I don't know how to turn this thing. I figured it out how to do it the other day. Notifications, mute. Okay, hopefully that worked. Sorry. I met the Team 10 kids like pretty early on when I moved out here. And everybody on this call knows Team 10 or no?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely should.
Well, if you don't, Team 10 was like the first collective of influencers that lived together in a mansion and created content. It was led by Jake Paul. I knew where these people lived, so I decided to move into that building. And, I put all my money that I made from working at the nightclubs, and I ended up getting the penthouse at 1600 Vine. And I did it on purpose because I knew that if I was networking with them and immersed in their lives, and also like, I worked at a nightclub. I know when the baller comes in, everybody pays attention. So I was like, how do I create that atmosphere for these kids that like otherwise wouldn't know who I was, So now I own the only talent management company that represents content creators and that represents content creators in the way that we do it. Not only was I the first one to represent people in a big way in this landscape, because most of the times it's like boutique management companies, but I continue to be, I think this is the only company that manages the largest TikTok roster, probably in the world. Talent managers don't sleep. I spend countless hours on my phone, and I'm constantly in touch with my clients. A couple of them just left. I was going to have them say hi, but the call hadn't started yet. And I'm available for them 24/7. And that type of lifestyle is already ingrained to me. I worked in nightlife for so long that, if you don't pick up a phone call, someone's going to call another host and you lose your money for that day. You know what I mean? And you may lose out on the relationships that person's going to bring you. So in this type of industry, you have two sets of clients. The brands are your clients, and then the talent is your clients. And so we had to build a company that really serviced all the different aspects of it. And it's different than your traditional talent management company.
Yeah, I love that intro, or like telling us a little bit about your background. One thing that's funny, we haven't talked about this. We have a lot of similarities, like a lot of the stuff you said. I'm curious, did you also have a good MySpace page because you knew HTML and your CSS and all that stuff?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm the same.
MySpace.
I'm the same way. Like I had the background of nightlife. I feel like anyone who wants to be a photographer, videographer, or a marketer, start in nightlife, because it's like you have to be the best, the flashiest, the most intriguing, the most captivating. It's like every week you basically just start over again because you're always in competition. So it's interesting hearing you apply that background of, like, especially the nightlife, into other key things, because I've done that in a similar way, like making flyers at least, or thinking processes of strategy.
100%. Yeah, I'll tell you something I learned in the nightlife world that like stuck with me is So I was in San Diego and I ran, all the popular clubs and we had a database of probably like the largest like pretty girl database in San Diego, right? Of like email addresses and stuff like that. And because I'm a girl, it's a lot easier to approach other girls and not be creepy. Like, hey, you want to go to Vegas for free? Like it was, I built that and I leaned into other women, which is another thing I learned is like not to be competitive with people, especially other women. But what I learned was that we got a big deal. My company had gotten a big deal with one of the nightclubs in Vegas, and we would put 50 girls on a bus and from San Diego and basically bring them out to Vegas, and they got everything for free. And my company essentially got paid to bring them out there, right? So when I got out there, I was like, sorry, my dog. I was like trying to, compete in a way with like the people that, like the people had been in Vegas for a long time. And like, I just realized like I was about to get eaten alive. Like I'm a nice person. And I remember one of the guys that was running like the biggest nightclub there, he had hired me and I was like, man, I hate Vegas. I hate coming out here. People are mean. Like, I feel like they hate me. Like, I'm just trying to do my job. And I feel like everybody's like trying to like screw me over. And he's like, Ari, he's like, what do you bring to the table? I'm like, San Diego. And he's like, exactly. He's like, the hottest girls in San Diego, the biggest spenders in San Diego. He's like, own San Diego. He's like, don't come to LA or Vegas and try to compete with all the hosts that know their people in Vegas. He's like, be the girl in San Diego that owns San Diego. When they call you, you're bringing in all the hot chicks from San Diego. You're bringing in all the high rollers. They need to know you. You have to be on their side for them to like, and how that relates to what I'm doing now is I came to LA and I didn't try to compete with traditional talent managers or talent agencies. I'm like, I know my lane. Digital and social media marketing, that's my lane that I know really well. Yeah, I have contacts in traditional. I have contacts in music, but that's not what I do. So I don't compete with those guys. And because of that, they're asking me for help. So now we're working with talent that's like Sophia Wiley, for example. She's a Disney star. She's huge. They're coming to me. Will you be Sophia's TikTok manager? Bella Thorne, huge movies, all this stuff. Will you rep Bella on social media? Like, you know what I mean? And so in that, it was a really good lesson that I learned back then because, figure out what you're good at and then don't try to compete with everybody that's doing the other thing. How do you become the person they want to actually work with? And they're going to bring you their talent.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that even like transcribes over to like, or translates over to TikTok in the sense of like everybody trying to do everything and trying to be like the viral person where it's like, just stick to what you're passionate about, what you're good at, what people love you for, instead of like, I do dances, I do this, I do that. It's like, well, kind of aren't anything because you're just everything at the same time.
Exactly.
Actually, the last thing that you said kind of brings me to a question that I had. I think a lot of people are wondering this for the most part, especially with TikTok, but in social media in general. What exactly is the difference between management and an agency in terms of like, repping influencers or managing influencers? Like, what's that difference between the two?
So I learned this early on, and actually not early on. Okay, I come from digital marketing, right? So the way I looked at influencers before was like, this is like a media buy, right? So for example, like I'm paying an influencer. It's a media buy that gets you a lot more than a media buy, right? Because it gets you talent, production, writing the content and distribution all in one. And so you're getting like a lot of bang for your buck. But, brands mostly, they're looking at it like on a CPM or, if it's a direct response, like they're looking at it like that. So, in the digital agency world, like for example, if I brought a brand to an agency that did like SEO, right? And I'm like, hey, I've got this contact. That agency can pay me out as a referral. Like, hey, we're going to cut you out 5% as a referral for bringing this brand to me, right? And they did a deal. Like that happens all the time. Well, I didn't realize that in traditional television, acting, music, and everything like that, talent is considered like, I'll tell you how it works in traditional. So a manager is traditionally the person that finds you from the beginning. You know, it's like if anybody is old enough that they watched Entourage, like E was the manager. E was like his best buddy from home who, like, you know, he saw the vision of what, like, you know, of what whatever that the main character, what he wanted to do, what kind of movies he didn't want to do. You know, they had a long-term plan for his career. And like, you know, your manager is the one that's like, when you're nobody, they let you sleep on their, you know, they let you sleep in their spare room and fly to LA and invest in you on the long term, right? And help you grow. Maybe they're connecting you with like other celebrities, or they're introducing you to people that they know. Your agent is the one that's like, you're Brad Pitt, some, you know, there's a movie happening, and you're Brad Pitt's agent. Well, Brad Pitt would be good for this movie. They start like promoting you to that, whoever's making that movie, and they're your agent. Because, or if somebody's making a movie and be perfect for Brad Pitt, it's not like social media where Brad Pitt just has his email out there and they're gonna like, they have to contact Brad Pitt's agent. So traditionally, agents go out and get you deals. They deal with all the money. And then there's another level, which is like if you're doing a deal with like a label, or there's production deals, and those are typically negotiated by lawyers. So you have a brand deal or a touring deal, your agent handles that. And then your manager is the boss. So the agent has to agree with the manager. And that's why, like on Entourage, E and Ari were always fighting, because it was like Ari wanted the money deal, and then E was like, yeah, it was not going to be like, you know, and then, you know, the manager is really like your family, like your mom, you know, like you count on them for everything. And they're also looking out for you. You know, maybe Ari Gold wanted you to take this deal because big money, but you know, E would be like, yeah, but that's not him staying true to like who he is. Like, I think we should hold out and not do that movie. Like, you know, because they're looking at it the long term. So that's what I understand is in traditional. Now, in digital, it's different, right? Because you're, first of all, you're anybody that's reaching out, brands are reaching out directly to their email on their social media platform, right? So what I don't understand, one of the things that I learned was that I managed this girl that came from like, she was one of the biggest people that broke out from TikTok. And I was working with traditional, like with like Bachelor stars and stuff like that on Instagram. And when I signed this girl, like, you know, I saw a lot of potential with her, but I didn't know much about TikTok, you know, but I knew how to talk to brands and I had all that experience already. So I signed her, and about a month into it, you know, I'd already invested a lot of time, you know, offered a lot of, like, had her out to stay at my place, like connected her with all my connections, and we're starting to build her. But, you know, a month after that, that's when like she really got a lot of press and people started really talking about her. And basically the big agencies came in and they were like, oh, now you're somebody, now I want to work with you. So she already signed to us, and we were like, okay, you know, she was like, well, I didn't want to hold her back, right? Because she wanted to sign to this big talent agency. And I'm like, I talked to the talent agent, and he's like, because one day she just changed her email to this agent's email, and I'm like, dude, you can't do that. Like, you know, we're funneling in. Of course, like the minute she changed it was when like I started seeing like Chipotle, Procter and Gamble, General Mills, all these emails coming in, and I was like, oh, this is what we were working towards, right? Like, this is exciting. And then all of a sudden the emails went away, and I'd go on her page and she doesn't have our email up. And so then I'm like talking to her, and she's like, oh yeah, well, like, you know, it's this really big agency. Like, I really want to be part of it. They rep Rhett and Link, and they rep these people and these people. And I'm like, man, like, you know, these guys make me look like a chump, you know, and they're like who have I repped? Like, but I know what I'm doing, right? Like I do know how we are making her money, and she's getting these really great deals. So, and I know that potentially, first of all, if we don't even see the deals that are coming into that talent agency, we don't even know what they may look at a deal that she would want to take and say, oh, this isn't worth our time. We're not going to talk to them, you know? So I'm like, okay. So then I went to the agent and I'm like, listen, dude, we're on a 20% management fee with this person. We do the sales and the management side of it. So we take 20%, you know, an agent can technically get a deal. So let's say McDonald's calls an agent and say McDonald's could be like, hey, we have $100,000 to spend. The agent can be like, okay, I'm going to take a 30% margin, put that away, and then I'm going to spend 70,000 on influencers, and then on top of it, I'm going to commission them 10%. So they just made 30 grand, and they just made whatever, 10% of 70 grand. So as a management company, we only take, if you're managed exclusively by us, we only take 20% of what you make. We don't do those back end deals, right? Or it's not necessarily even not elite. It's not even bad practice. It's just, that's what agents do, right? Is that they can figure out, they know how much influencers are willing to take, and they know what brands are willing to spend, right? So I made a deal with the company, and I was like, at the time they're probably like, oh, this is a little old, like manager, like, she'll go away after a little while. So I was like, hey guy, like, you're not going to put her email up and take all the incoming leads. You're an agent. You're supposed to bring inbound, like you're supposed to do outbound sales, and you get so I said, but she wants to work with you. So we'll give you 10% of anything you bring, and I'll pay it out of my percentage. She's never going to lose 30%. I'll take 10 and you take 10 of what you bring. But my guy, you're not going to take all of our incoming leads and we're going to do all the work and we're just going to take 10%. And it doesn't back out for little deals like this for $1,000, $10,000. It doesn't back out. I have to have an accounting team, a PR team, like have to have all this stuff. So they were like, okay, whatever. They weren't too happy about it. They were like, they really wanted to work with this person though. So, some time goes on and everything's fine. And then, we ended up starting to work with some of the biggest TikTokers in the world right now, including Charlie D'Amelio, the Lopez brothers, Addison Rae, Dixie. They all had influencers emails up. Their contracts weren't signed yet, but the way I've always worked and what Gary Vee taught me is like, just give. And then, when people see what you can do, they're going to stay true to you. Right. But this is Hollywood. So, and not that anything negative happened, but basically when those people blew up, first of all, that initial talent that I had, nothing got dropped or anything for her, but it was like, oh, now you're working with these people, there's a little jealousy. And by the way, there wasn't that many people working with me at the time. So I was in a bit over my head when all that happened, when I had all those people. And then the New York Times article came out, and then it was like all hell broke loose. Every major agency was out there trying to sign WME, UTA, CA. They're all, and then, and then these people are getting like, well, why are you with Ari? Like she has like 2 talents that she's ever managed. Like, why would you stick with her, you know? And so those people went and got agents, right? Not managers, agents. So they signed with an agency. And by the way, sometimes an agency doesn't even make you sign. They're just so big that they put out press that says like, Ari just signed with UTA, and then there's no even paperwork, but the whole world knows because it's in Variety, and so everybody stops talking to you unless it's UTA, or whatever company it is. I don't have so then this person who started with me is feeling left out. Well, all these people are now signed to agencies and it's a big thing. And so she wasn't, and by the way, these are kids. So there's a thing that happens to kids is they all talk to each other and they don't know. And it's like, oh, I heard this. And, if you're following along with the hype house, it's like, there's just a lot of little kid like drama that like, and probably they've gotten screwed over. I've gotten screwed over. So I understand, everybody's like worried about getting screwed over. So anyway, this person's agent started chatting with her and was like, well, let me get you a lawyer. So then the lawyer wrote us a letter and was like, even though she signed to a 1-year long deal. So this is another thing that you have to understand. Nobody can own you. There's no such thing as slavery, right? Like, even if you sign a management company, like if you decide you don't want to work for me anymore or work with me anymore, like you don't have to. You can tell me to screw off, but you're going to have to pay me 20% for the rest of the year and not use any of my services, right? So I just get to sit back and collect money from, whatever you're making. Now I'd probably have to sue you, which more often than not, we're not going to want to get into that situation. But like really the reason why we have a contract is so that everybody's clear up front with what's going on. Because if you have a little argument, instead of it being like, screw off, and we just invested 6 months in you, you got to think about it for a second. Do I really want to get into, is there a way we can make is there a give? Like, hey, I'm a big talent now. I need an agent. Like, okay, maybe we drop it to 10%. Like, I'm a very fair person, right? But this person's lawyer came to me and was like, okay, well, it says here that you procured XYZ deals for XYZ talent. And, because you did that, because you procured these deals, what's it called? And you don't have an agency license, you're breaking you could be seen as breaking the California talent agency law, which is like basically a labor law issue, which says that a talent agent needs a talent agency license. So basically I was getting in trouble, or I was potentially getting in trouble because I brought her business. So if I would have never brought her one deal or negotiated any of the deals, I wouldn't be in that situation, right? With talent.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm saying this is because actually that law has never been contested with social media people. So nobody's set precedent on that thing. It was meant for, I think, the traditional talent world. Procuring talent, like when you're getting inbound leads, it's very different than the talent agency world. You know what I mean? So like what we provide at Influences is essentially both. Now, we've had to now bring on agents that work for Influences in order to protect ourselves from that. And also, here's the other thing. So if your Influences can hire an influencer. So for example, if I hire a talent and I pay them and I do a contract with them for Influences, then I'm not in breach of that talent agency law. So basically what we had to do is, we're a management company. We're not an agency. This is how we're like aligning ourselves so that, we can work within this weird entertainment world. But really, I'm telling you guys this because, that provided a loophole for her, because I don't want to get sued. So I was like, okay, forget it. Like, hey, we're washing our hands. This person was trying to sue me for all the money I made her, the commissions I made. She was trying to get them all back. Like, I was like in shock, I was like, I can't believe that, that's why talent managers have to protect themselves, because it's like you're investing all this money into somebody and then you make them famous, and then they're going to use that fame and then go get bigger lawyers, bigger attorneys, whatever, and turn around on you. So we really had to protect ourselves on that. And it was a big learning lesson because, and a little heartbreaking too, because you're like, but also I learned from other managers and stuff. They're like, you know what? At that point, it was like, my lawyer was like, Ari, you could cry and be upset about this person that you feel like you did all, or you could turn around and there's, 10, like there's 100 kids that would love to be rep by you and like have, and so why don't you go turn around and sign all them, and let's figure out a way to like not have this issue again. And really all it is now is that even though all the talent is signed to us for management, whenever a brand comes to us and we negotiate a deal out for we negotiate a deal, the brand does a contract with Influences. So it's like brand pays Influences $10,000, and then we do a contract with the influencer. Influences hires the influencer for $8,000. You get what I'm saying? So,
yeah, totally. Yeah. It's interesting how it kind of played out that way. I guess that's kind of like reminiscent of the music industry. Like you get repped by somebody, you bring them up, and then unfortunately, something similar kind of happens.
It's a weird loophole, but it's like, I think that at the end of the day, fast forward to right now, a lot of the things that I said that when a lot of these houses were starting, and I was friends with Nick Crompton and Kate Spicer when Team 10 was like falling apart, and they didn't own any piece of that company. You know, like they built this huge thing out and they didn't own any of it, and they learned so much and they're so valuable. And so when I saw some of these kids get involved in houses, I was like, hey guys, like it's great that you're all collaborating together, but like who owns the house? Is there insurance? Like, you know, like who put in money? Like, you know, like, and literally everything that, so I said these things, and at the time these kids are like, why are you poo-pooing on our parade? Like, you know, I would, and I didn't tell them not to do it. I just said, hey, like, let's make sure you have your ducks in a row so you don't get taken advantage of. And it's not even anybody taking advantage of. It's like they don't see the future of like, this isn't,
Yeah.
like this, they're not reinventing the wheel. Like content houses
Yeah.
not reinventing the wheel. I even had Jake Paul's guy that lives with him. Like he was like, why don't you get Jake on the phone with them? And they were like, we don't want Jake Paul. Like he's old. Like we don't want to collaborate with him. You know, we're TikTokers. And it was like, no, don't collaborate with him. Like learn from him. He's going to tell you why he fell apart. Nobody wanted to have the call with him. And they're like, why are you even introducing us to Jake Paul? I'm like, okay, I'm just going to like, and I, you know, it's like, you can only tell someone so much. All the things that I said, and I hate to like say I told you so, but it's happening now. It's playing out.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of those things are falling apart because they weren't.
Because at first it starts off as something just fun and entertaining and cool, and then you start to realize like, wait, they got how much money for our house name or the brand? Or wait, we're selling merch, but I haven't made any money from it, but they just bought a Lambo. So yeah, I get what you're saying. It's kind of like they just probably don't know the longevity aspect of it in terms of like how to position themselves early on, which is kind of like the whole point of what I'm doing these calls for and this stuff is like being famous on TikTok or any platform is cool, but like let's actually build something from it and leverage it and use it correctly and not have like kind of what you're mentioning, like some foreseeable possible things happening where it's like, ooh, you should have.
Honestly, it's like learn from people. Like, you know, if somebody's telling you something, you know, it's not because they're trying to be smarter than you. It's because they're looking out for you. I hope, right? It's like, I would never tell them like how would it benefit me to tell my talent, like, don't sign up with this house that's blowing up right now. Like it wouldn't benefit me. The only thing that would benefit me is if I didn't want them to like fall apart. Like what they had is like peak and then be done because they made some mistake. And, you know, you can't put a price on experience. And like, you know, actually earlier I was talking to some kids and they were like, you know, well, what do you guys bring to the table? Okay, well, you guys bring your services to the table, but you're getting a percentage of what we make, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but the value that really experience brings is like, you know, I'll tell you a quick story. So my investor told me this. He's like, you know, imagine there's a mechanic or like a machinery like plant or whatever, and they make some type of product, and it has a very like intricate machine, and every day or every month they make $1 million from this machine working the right way. The machine breaks all of a sudden, and you're losing, you know, a lot of money every day for, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars every day that machine doesn't work. And you're calling people and nobody can seem to fix it, you know? And a guy comes in and he's like, looks at it, and, you know, this is, by the way, you've already lost like, you know, $500,000, let's see, half the month or whatever. And this guy comes in and he's like, I know what to do. And he like literally tweaks something. 15 minutes later, hey, you're up and running again. And the guy's like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, you know, whatever. The guy gets a bill and it's $100,000. And he's like, this has to be wrong. You were here for 15 minutes. How is this possible? Like, you know, I'm not paying $100,000 for 15 minutes of work. And it's like, and the guy's like, my guy, like you know, the time that it took me to learn how to get that piece and how to do, you know, is, and by the way, if I hadn't done it, you'd be losing millions of dollars till I came around. So how much is that worth to you, you know? And I think that young people, like, you don't think of it that way, right? It's like, well, it only took you 2 seconds to make that introduction with that brand. It's like, yeah, but do you know how long I've been like, you know, do you know what it took to get to that point? And it's like, and that's the value of having a good, I think that's what we bring to the table, is that, like, you know, we've already put in our blood, sweat, and tears. And I've, you know, outside of just money, it's like, you know, I'm 36. I put in all of my 20s and half of my 30s to understand this business of social media and like everything that's going on in it. I gave up a lot to get to where I'm at now, you know? So what's that worth to you? You know? So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that, you know, and young people just need to realize it. Like, just, you can't pay for experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That kind of actually brings me to a question that I have. With you doing what you do and like looking for influencers, like what do you look for in terms of talent? What are you expecting out of influencers? For maybe who people are listening right now, they do have a big following. What are you as a manager specifically looking at, and maybe they should try and start to work on and stuff?
I would say, like, so for example, I think I found Addison when she had like, and by the way, Addison's not signed to us yet. No, just kidding. She's not signed to us, but I do work with Monty, her dad. Her dad actually joined our company. He's our chief talent officer. So first of all, when I met Addison, like super positive, spunky, outgoing, and she just had that like it factor, like big smile, like she could dance. She was doing stuff with her mom. She, every time I brought her, you know, she was super engaged. Like if she was meeting with me, like 100% engaged and came on time to stuff, like really, really motivated and constantly making content. Like, you know, we'd be at a meeting and then like we go grab lunch and she'd like have the thing up and she was also like, for her, she was like all about collaborating with people. Like that was her big thing. Like she was the one that came to Jake Paul's house and was like, I'll do video with Jake Paul. I want to teach him how to TikTok. And so like really positive, motivated, and hardworking, I would say is like number one. And that like she had that like it factor. You know what I mean? Like I don't know
Could you
how to.
could you kind of I was gonna say, could you kind of describe what that would be? I think because a lot of people are getting big numbers on TikTok and they're doing well, but I don't think they know what's gonna set them apart from the rest of the talent. So I'm wondering, like, if there's some like three actionable things that they can start to
Yeah,
think
yeah.
of
So,
or
well, I went on,
apply.
like, I would go on my For You page and like I would just say the first thing is that like it factor made me stop and like, you know, watch that video again. Like, you know, and I don't know, it's just something that like, you know, everybody's seen it. I mean, why, you know, when you guys go through your For You page, you know, there's probably somebody that makes you stop. And it's like, what I would do is add that person and follow them and keep following and see if they grow. Because if they're growing, you'll see that you have that, you know, you can put that you have that same ability to catch who's going to blow up. But like, as you compare it to what you're doing is like, if I was in this feed, what's going to make someone stop and be like, oh, wait a second, who is this person? I want to know more about them. So I would say like that, you know, that initial like talent, I would just say like talent around something. Like, are you talented? If you're a magician, are you, you know, there's Krista I've been talking to, she balances a ball, but she doesn't just balance, there's just something about you that makes you different and unique and you're talented at something, singing, comedy, whatever it is that you're talented in. Second thing I would say is like just work ethic. And the third thing I would say uh, is like the last thing I would say is like views. In terms of what I looked at before I signed someone, it's like first they have that it factor, they have talent. Second, they have the work ethic and professionalism, and they get up at, you know, and they're constantly making content. And then the third thing is that they have a following. Because if you're talented and you're at, I mean, I added the Enki boys, the dad and his son, when they were at 10,000. I knew they were gonna blow up. Like I couldn't even find them. Like I literally was like, I was adding them. I added them just to like figure out whenever they put up their email address. Alicia Allen, you know, she's like, you can tell she's like an actress. She had like 2 or 3 million followers. Her engagement was super high. Every time she made a funny video, like a lip syncing, whatever, when they're like acting.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like I can't get in touch with this girl. Like those were the people that I was so excited to talk to. And I'm actually glad that they didn't put their emails up, because they would have gotten that big Hollywood agent to call them and get the whole spiel. And they don't even know what they're getting themselves into, you know? So
Mm.
I think like for us, it's like, you know, who is that talent that's different? And then also I try to find people that aren't already on my roster of like that type of person. So for example, like, you know, if like, I don't want to have more than like, you know, 3 e-boys on my roster. And if they're e-boys, I want them to all be different types of e-boys, you know, different nationalities or whatever. Like, you know, if like I really wanted to have like the most diverse group. But we went to a meeting after we signed like our first group of talent, and literally people were stopping me on the street being like, are these people famous? Like, they didn't even know who they were. I've got like 2 bald girls that have alopecia. I've got highlighter head Marcus and his girlfriend.
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
Gage Aerobaticus is like super tall. He's like super like trendy, like looks like, you know, Noah Eubanks type guy. I mean, these people just looked famous, right? Like they just, I don't know what they do, but that's, you know, that it factor. We really want to, we just want to have a diverse group of talent that we're working with. It's really about quality versus quantity.
Yeah, that's something I really try to tell a lot of people when they're building their actual profile itself. From like content wise, it's really about quality versus quantity, because quantity, yeah, whatever, you can get X amount of numbers, but it's not going to make you want to tune in. You talked about like Jake Paul and them, like there's a quality to their video. They put out videos every single day, but they made sure to keep this level where it's like that stuff I think just makes you like, when you or someone who's bigger, you know, like big Universal Music or whatever, like whoever is actually looking, they might want to see like, okay, well, what are they talking about? Not exactly like, well, they put out 50 videos, but like, what are they actually
I'll tell you
doing, you
what,
know?
what's really valuable is anybody that can make their own sounds. So for example, one of my clients, because one of my past clients, because she was so funny and she didn't have to use a musical sound,
Mm,
brands were more interested in working with her because they didn't have to get the rights to that piece of music. And also because of the user generated content that came from the sounds she was making.
mm.
So if you make a funny video and you're like, blah, 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 Chipotle, and it's something really funny and it catches on, and then, you know, 500,000 people make a video about with Chipotle in the sound, you get what I'm saying? Then it becomes way more valuable to that brand.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Awesome. Real quick, just to ask you, do we have enough time to do a couple more questions and then also do Q&A? Or I'm not sure what your schedule like right now for the
Yeah, I don't
next.
know what the schedules is for your viewers.
As long as you have time, we'll be here. I promise you, people will stay for 10 hours if you don't mind staying 10 hours. But I just want to make sure that we could do the Q&A, but I didn't want to take up too much of your time. So I'm not sure what your schedule's like, because I know.
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, no,
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't have, you're the only thing on my agenda. I still
Well,
learn.
I know
So
you also have all these influencers. So I don't know if they're gonna call you and be like, "Hey, we don't know how to do this." You're like, "I gotta go. I gotta be back. I gotta
they
go."
already know. Yeah, I've been using Calendly now, and like I make them make an appointment now. So, oh,
Oh,
by
nice.
the way,
That's smart though.
just to tell your like, you know, anybody watching. So when I got overwhelmed, I started thinking about all the smart people I knew that had money. And
Mm,
I called them and I'm like, listen, I'm in over my head. I've got all these people who want to sign with me. I need some support. I need a staff. Like it's not possible for me to be everything to everyone. And like, you know, and that was the biggest thing that, you know, when I met Jason, who ended up becoming our investor, he was like, he's more of like a nuts and bolts guy. And he was like, okay, what, you know, what did each, how many managers, you know, what do these people need? They need a manager and a salesperson, because those are 2 different roles. That's probably why there's managers and agents, because one person's on the, you know, answering emails and making negotiations. One person's like, hey, let's make a YouTube video and like, you know, with you in the red carpet and like all that kind of stuff. So how do we bring those 2 things together? The company, you know, and by the way, we do work now with some of those big agencies when the talent requires it. Or like, you know, on every deal right now, we work with agents, but everybody that like helped us, like, there's enough to go around. There's always a way to make something happen. So, but now the great thing is that like we actually do have the support that we needed to scale and be able to sign more influencers, because and we've like developed like a CRM to like, you know, the amount of fan mail that comes into our funnel email is like crazy. But like now we have a system, you know, I'm not going to tell all my secrets,
yeah, yeah.
but now we have a system where, you know, a talent can call and be like, hey, what does my pipeline look like? And their salesperson, you know, their brand partnership person can be like, well, I've got 2 things that are ready to close. Here's the contract. I've got 2 things that I've got a call set up for this week. So people know what's happening. And I think like honestly, what I've learned is that, and this has been something that is not super easy for me because I'm like all over the place sometimes, is just like communication is so important, especially with young people, because sometimes like a very simple miscommunication between management and talent, it's like, oh my God, I'm getting screwed. Like, well, you're lying to me. And it's like, wait. Like, no, like maybe there was a change. Maybe the brand changed their mind. And then I'm the messenger and I got to tell you, this doesn't mean I lie. Like, but because it's kids, like we have to almost overly communicate so that that trust never gets broken, even though, I've been in business for however 15 years and I've never, I don't lie, steal, cheat. I have people that we've done business with that sometimes things don't go well. They're not going to tell you that I'm a bad person. You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, we tried to do this thing. It didn't work out. But I think with talent, it's like, especially young people, they're automatically like, they're almost like you're walking on eggshells at first until you build some, nobody's going to tell that to like maybe a Scooter Braun, but like somebody that's new in this industry, it's like very easy for talent to be like, so that's one of the things that I've learned is like, you definitely want to have a lot of communication with your team so that, and then also too, like give each other the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Like maybe there was a miscommunication and it's like, instead of like going to other talents and be like, oh, what did you get for this deal? Or how come I didn't, it's like, go to your manager and be like, hey, I noticed this, like, I was just wondering if you could explain that to me. Like, give them the benefit of the doubt instead, because what happens is when I've seen is that a lot of these influencers talk to each other and then they construct some like crazy plan that like their manager had to like, or these people had to like screw them over. And it's like, no, not
Yeah, well, you know
anywhere.
what? That kind of brings me to like another question. I think is like probably one of the most asked, sought out questions is making money off of social media and more specifically TikTok. I'm kind of curious if you don't mind kind of sharing like some of the back end process of it. Like I think a lot of people are always curious, like how do you make money from TikTok? Like how does that even look like from like a management position? Is there like some kind of a way that you do like a step ladder? Like, oh, first we need to do this, then we reach out to that, then we get this going. Like, is there some kind of system that you
I like to
influencers are
give
listening should think about?
I like to give the influencers reps. So what that means is, for example, they want to work with a brand, right? Let's call it Boohoo. They want to work with Boohoo, and what a lot of people need to realize is a lot of brands have never really done activations yet on TikTok. They don't really know how TikTok works. They don't really know there's certain things like an influencer might be like, I don't want to put that caption, but what you can do on TikTok is you could tell the brand, well, I don't want to put that caption, but I can put it in the comments and pin it or whatever, however you do that, So I think that there's like ways that the brands need to be educated. So there's a couple things you can do to get brand deals. If you educate the brand that wants to work with you on how you want to work with them and help them, hey, what are you guys trying to do? You go on there and go and do your homework. Go on the brand pages and like go on their Instagram, go on their YouTube, go on their TikTok. Because if you provide them value of like you're teaching them something that they should be doing on TikTok, they're gonna value you more, right? We do that all the time with brands that want to work with us. Is we'll get on the phone and instead of being like, hey, we're gonna charge you, $1,000 agency fee for creative to like help you put that brand to get like that brand deal together. I just do it because I know it'll work, and I'm like, hey, do you ever think about doing it this way? And then they're like, they feel like I've given them so much knowledge that they're like, hey, can we just do the whole campaign with you guys? Like, who else would you recommend for this? And then, and so educating, I think, is very valuable. Then the other thing is like, if it's a brand you really want to work with, you see longevity in, do a little bit of that give. Like I learned from Gary. I mean, I think it's just, it's like give, and then ask. A lot of times influencers are like, I'm not giving anything till I get paid. But first of all, if you're not getting a lot of brand deals, that means that you don't have that many reps in the space. So for example, when you get a brand deal, you have to pay attention to the caption thing. You have to pay attention to when you're supposed to post. You may have to turn in the content first and then they have to approve it. They might want you to, so let's say that you do a deal with Boohoo and it's a trade deal. They send you clothes and you're posting, but treat it like it's a real deal, right? Be on time, do it right, communicate with the brand. Don't just do a shit job just because the brand is not paying you. This is your tryout. Try out, get some reps, because if you mess it up, at the end of the day, you didn't get paid for it, so they can't, come back. Because then when you do get a big deal, if you mess that deal up and then then that brand's never going to want to come and work with you again. So sometimes I tell my talent, hey guys, this is a brand that has big budgets behind them, like let's show them a little love, like in the nightclub business. If I knew a guy was worth, millions of dollars and he came in, I'd maybe throw him his first bottle comp just to show him a good time. Hey, you want to have a good time at this club? And guess what? That guy was coming back, spending over and over and over with me because I showed him we showed him a good experience one time. So take that, I would say, do that. Don't, and also, by the way, nobody knows you did it for free. So, when you have the other brand that's looking, oh man, I really like that ad they did with Boohoo. And then they're hitting you up and then they're like, oh, what's your rate? I like that video. And then they don't know you didn't get paid for it. You'd say, I got paid $5,000 for that.
Yeah, that's perfect. It was funny that you mentioned something in the beginning about like knowing the brand and understanding them and stuff like that. There was someone that we had about a week ago, I think, or 2 weeks ago. Her name was Saba, and her whole thing is like how to really get onto like news publications and TV shows and TED Talks and stuff. And one tip that she gave that's so similar to yours is like, instead of just saying write an article about me, she's like, put the subject line of what you think the article will be good, and like literally kind of like bullet point out what the article should be, what you could talk about, where she's like to the point where they just get it. And kind of like you said, they're like, yeah, that sounds perfect. Let's do it. Like you did so much of the effort and the work and the education that it's like, why would they turn down? So the same thing what you just said right now, where you could do the creative and you're just like, oh, whatever, I don't care. You're like, oh, we could do this, this, and this, and check out that. And I know that you guys did this in the past. Like they're going to probably be like, you know what? I love Ari. She's like, she knows our brand. Like she probably represents us so well. So I love that you touched on that, because that's something that I think like a lot of people that are, even with big influencers, like I've talked, and I know you have talked to a lot of people that have big numbers, but they still haven't gotten like a single, deal or ad or anything. And it's like, it's interesting.
The other thing is, don't outprice yourself just because, if you like the brand, always figure it out. Like you don't know if on the back end, like that brand might say, it might be a huge brand, but their boss might say you can't spend more than 5,000 on any influencer. So let's say an influencer should be getting 10 to 15 grand a post, right? Like if they want to work with that brand, like maybe they're going to be like, I normally wouldn't do this at this rate, but I really like you guys. If that's really the max you can spend, the $5,000, like I'll do, let's do this one. And then guess what? That brand's calling you every week and giving you $5,000 every week. Hell yeah, and it's a cool brand, it's Chipotle or it's whatever, like, you know what I mean? It's like something that, and then by the way, the more Fortune 500 brand deals that you do that aren't like Fashion Nova or Sugar Bear Hair, the more valuable you're going to become, and you can build your brand out, If you do it, like most people think like, oh, I'm going to do a deal with Target, and so that's going to be $100,000. Like Target might not have the budget to pay you $100,000, but if you do a deal with Target, the level that you're going to look like of the type of deals that you take is going to be on another level. So when, Procter & Gamble is doing a deal, they're like, oh, she worked with Target. Like, hell yeah, I want to do this deal. Right. So
that's a really good point. I think like people should listen to that. Like, how can you leapfrog one brand that you work with for the other one? Kind of like leverage, almost like when you get a offer for another job that's competition, you go to your boss and like, hey, they're offering me this and I could do that. Where like see like, oh, they worked with Target and she's paying me this much, or she's charging this much. We probably should do it because she's working with Target. And like most people maybe don't even think that way, like how you're saying like that. Like kind of that nightclub mentality, going back to it. Like I comp you a bottle so that I get $50,000 out of you because of that one bottle that cost us $20. Like exactly. Wholesale cost,
What does that post cost you? Zero. You know what I mean? And if
but what can you gain from it is the big thing.
Job at it, your peers are not going to be like, now, don't go around telling people what the hell you're making, it's like don't do that, because then that's when you get yourself in trouble, because then it's like, oh, I heard that, and everybody talks, you can sign an NDA, it doesn't matter. Everybody talks to each other. So, you want to keep that between you and your management. Even like between, like in our management company, we have different people. We don't tell them, we'll tell them like, hey, that brand spent X amount on another influencer that, so like, cause it's just, you know, it's hard, right? Because sometimes I just want to be like, dude, just trust me, like, just like trust me. But it's
I know what
like,
I'm
you know,
doing.
so and everybody wants that, you know, to say just trust me. But like, this is what we do every single day. So like, we know what other people are getting, you know, are getting offered and stuff like that. And so sometimes like kids get scared, you know, for a brand that's like, oh, I don't want to lose this deal, and I'm like, they're never gonna lose a deal because you brought in your lawyer, like to like you know, I don't think that's even legal. Like it's like they send you a contract and then you're like loop in your lawyer to read it and they're gonna like drop the deal because you have a lawyer. I'm like, that doesn't. But these kids are literally scared sometimes that they're like, oh, I really want to work with this brand. They're like, if I show it to the lawyer, like they're gonna take it away. I'm like, that's someone taking advantage of you if they don't let you have a lawyer look at the contract. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
And redline it. The worst they could say is no.
And then that's it. And then you
It's
decide for
our
yourself.
original offer. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Talent
Um,
sometimes, and I realize it on TikTok, they don't realize that they have the leverage. You know, there's
mm,
only so many creators creating on TikTok. It's different than Instagram because on TikTok you have to actually be a performer almost, you know, and it's like there's way more eyeballs looking at TikTok than there are people making content. So if you're one of the very few people making content that people want to watch, like you're, especially right now with what's going on with the coronavirus, literally there's no productions going on. You can't advertise on television right now. You do a new
mm.
commercial, you have to go to content creators that are that can create content from home. I mean, even look at like Jimmy Fallon, like he's terrible at vlogging. Like if you watch the Late Show, it's like he's, that's not what they do, you know. And
Yeah,
for
yeah,
content
exactly.
creators, that's what they do. So
Awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to Q&A so
okay,
people can come in and ask a question. And then what I was thinking I would do, because I do have a couple more questions that I think are really, really good and kind of just show what you actually do. But I think it'll be kind of cool to do a couple questions and then bounce over to like one of mine and then go back and forth to the point in
okay.
which Ari's like, I got to feed my dog and go. So goodbye. So I'll bring on someone that you probably, actually, I'm going to bring everybody in, but we're only going to do one-on-one. So let
Okay.
me, let's see. I'm send a Zoom right here. So, okay, I'm gonna do this. Hold on, real quick, everybody. Okay, trying to start it up. There we go. It's connecting the audio. Zoom has a new thing where they make it a delay now, so that you don't, so people don't get like Zoom bombed all of a sudden. I don't know if you've heard of that or seen that guys yet. So, yeah, that's what's kind of going on. Okay, so Steph, did you want to go ahead and ask your question first?
Yeah, first of all, hey, what's up, Ari? We met you.
Hi, good to see you again.
Hey, great seeing you as well. Yeah, so actually, I have a question. So, what would you say is like, I guess the hierarchy of like priority for like what, since you manage all these creators, like what is super important that they get down, and like what's valuable to you that they know as far as like creating content and stuff.
You know, most of the people that we manage, like like if I can take everything away from them in terms of like stresses of what they're doing so that they can just literally focus on creating content all day long and collaborating and like not having to think about, you know, like where they have the free, you know, because to be creative you have to have a lot of mind share, you know. I feel like and if you're thinking about how am I going to pay my rent, or how am I going to you know, get to my goal, like reach my goals, and you know, I need to move to LA, or like, you know, what are the things that you need to happen so that you can just feel like I can just create all day long, like I feel good about this, you know. And that's my job, right? So I take, every creator is different, right, in terms of like what their goals are, what they want to do. And it's like they're good at I'm not telling them how to create content, like just their general content. But what I do help with is, once we do have like, let's say I have a brand opportunity, is like sometimes they're like, I don't know how to integrate that with like what I'm doing, you know. And it's like, and I'm like, it's a, you know, $20,000 deal, let's think about that, you know. Because what I've noticed is creators really want to be true to themselves, and we're 100% on board for that. We never want you to take a deal just because it's money. If your followers are if you're gonna lose followers because of something, like never do a deal like that. But be creative in what you can do. Like I had this this girl, she was like a comedian, and everything that she did was really funny. And you know, they wanted her to do a skincare thing, and she's like, like I don't want to do a skin, like, you know, I can't figure out how to do a skincare thing. And then I was, you know, and then I was like, I think this is a really good opportunity. Like, let's just do it. But like, let's think of a way that you can like take, you know, that you can do it creatively. So I started doing research on the brand and like some of the things that worked for them. And then what she ended up coming up with is she was like washing her face and talking in like a British accent. Like she was on that show. What's that like reality show that's really popular in the
Love
UK?
Island.
Love
Love
Island,
Island.
right? So
It's one
she's
of my
like,
favorite shows of all time, by the way,
yeah.
everybody.
So it was so funny because she did the ad, and then people were literally commenting like, I cannot believe this is an ad. Like, and that's what I want. Like, I want all my talent to have branded videos where like people are like, oh my God, I did not even know that was an ad, you know? Those are the types of things we can help talent with on the creative side. But more than anything, like we handle everything else, you know, so that, and then also too, it's like, the biggest thing that I would tell my talent, that's especially the biggest on TikTok, is like build your brand story. You know, you need a couple things to do that. Be a good storyteller. Like tell, every talent should have a video that's like a who am I? Like who is Marcus Oland? And you look it up, and it's literally like Marcus, like in whatever kind of way he's doing it, he's telling like, hey, this is where I came from, like, you know, I grew up in this place, like how, like who are you? And then take content from like your past and put it in a video that's like your bio, right? Because when like brand executives are looking you up, like they don't have time to go through your whole feed. And like, by the way, on TikTok, there's not enough time to tell your backstory. So for example, like my mom, I was born in Mexico City. My mom's like Mexican lady, like she's got an accent and she doesn't watch football or anything like that. But like one day I walked in the room and my mom was like, and I think the Seattle Seahawks were playing, and we've grew up in the Bay Area all my life. So like 49ers and, you know, Raiders, I could see her like cheering for them. She was like cheering for the Seahawks. And I'm like, Mom, like, what is wrong with you? Why are you cheering for the Seahawks? She's like, well, I watched this like, I think it was like 20 for 20. I forget what the show is. It's like that talks about athletes. And she's like, and this guy, and he's deaf and he can't hear, but like, you know, he came from nothing and he's the only you know, deaf guy on TV. Anyway, she knew his whole story, and so she was cheering for the Seahawks. That's what you want to do, is like is tell your story so that anybody watching it can relate to you, right? The reason why I think people like Addison did so well, people like Joe Mele, the guy that did the Ratatouille with his dad, the reason why those guys are, why those people are interesting to Hype House, is because there's like a backstory. It's like, who are these people? You only get invested in people if you know their story. So like one of the things that I'm really trying to work on with my team is like having everybody make that, you know, that piece of content that's searchable and that's like the who am I, because that's what's going to make you relevant and like, you know, get other people interested in you, whether it's like a musician or if you have some type of struggle. You know, like the reason why I literally went right towards Emmy when I first saw her, Emmy and Alex, is because I'm like, clearly they're not like regular girls, you know, they're completely bald, like, and they're happy and beautiful and like different and embracing that. And they're not like, and when I met them, I was like, this is like a real, like, this is something inspiring to like, to me, even not just other girls, you know? And if you can be inspiring to people, then that's what influence really is and should be used for. If you can make a living out of it, great. But if you can do good and inspire the people before you, that's what like is really, that's like my why, is like, how can I, like, you know, how can you send the elevator back down? So that's what we really encourage and look out for and help them with.
I like that
Awesome.
a lot. Thank you so much. That was really good. Yeah, and by the way, like the whole like hour of you like talking and sharing all these stories, like I really love that. I was taking so many notes. Like that was very valuable. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Peace. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, can you start your video up, Mackenzie? And for everybody, by the way, who's coming in, like, don't turn your video on and audio on because I want to really be like one-on-one. So, anyways, this is Mackenzie, by the way, Ari. I told you about her yesterday, who like super grew her Instagram account in like a month. This is the person I was talking about. So,
Congrats.
by the way, so you can put some context now to it. So, go ahead, go for it.
Hi, Ari. Thank you so
Hi.
much for coming on this chat and talking to us. I've already learned so much from every story that you told us. It's amazing. So my question is, I've been on TikTok for a little bit under a year now, and I've done kind of everything myself on my own, but a few managers have like reached out to me and kind of talked to me. But like, how do I know when is the right time to work with a manager? Because sometimes I hear like bad stories about like certain managers, and certain managers can really help you. So I just don't know like when is the perfect time to be able to work with a manager, and when you kind of know like you're ready to do that.
I would say, when are you ready? I mean, to get like significant opportunities, like, at least for us, we look at people that are getting like at least that have like close to 1 million on TikTok. And I say that, but then also there's people that I brought on that have like 200,000 followers, and it's like, but like I see the talent and that I see that they're gonna like blow up, and so it's worth me investing a little bit in them. And then also like, now that I have a bigger roster, like if somebody brings a lot, like, so for example, like if I found a musician that's like unbelievable, then like, and I know that my talent would love her, like I know I can collaborate, like put her with those people and they'll grow her, and that she'll bring value to them because she sings or does something really cool. But in terms of like, when do you need, management, it's like, it's really when you see a lot of deals coming in that or like brand opportunities coming in that you're not sure what your value would be, you know what I mean? Or like, you don't even know like how to negotiate it. I think that, you like, it depends really who's coming and like what kind of companies are trying to manage. Like, I don't know, like give me an example of like, you don't have to tell me what the management company is, but like, what was their pitch to you, I guess?
So
Like,
pretty much like when like a manager like came to me, like here's one example where they pretty much just told me that, hey, I'm a manager, like I could really help you out, grow you, and also like help you get like great brand deals. And then they kind of, what sold me was like, oh, I'm working with this huge person and this huge person. And then we kind of hopped on a call and like talked about it. But I got like weird vibes, like every time we wanted to like meet up or like talk on the phone, like they were always like an hour and a half late, and every time like it was just kind of like off, and we didn't like vibe totally right away.
I would say honestly, chemistry is the number one thing to like, to feel out is chemistry. Also ask them like who's going to be on your team. So for example, like now when I'm signing people, I have a group text with all of our talents, and it's like, Alex Umazo team, and I'm on it. Laura Beatty, our EVP, our executive vice president, she's on it. They'll have a brand executive that's in there. So like, I've got Cody's on Alex's team, and then we have like a day-to-day manager. Right now I'm kind of serving as both for the girls in the Valley, but they're going to have their own manager for that house. So there's like essentially any and all times there's like 5 people in their group, so that like, let's say that, let's say they get, they don't like their manager, right? Because I have other managers in the company, I can like be like, okay, why don't we swap out this person, this manager for this person? So they don't have to like leave the company and everything they built with that team just because they're not seeing eye to eye with someone. The other thing is that's good is that like, if you only have one person that answers to you, like maybe I'm annoying one of my talents and she needs to talk to Laura, or like maybe, that's going to happen. It's like a marriage, you know what I mean? Like there's going to be, you're going to disagree, but like if you have other people you can talk to, because then maybe Laura's going to come to me and be like, when you do that, like it didn't really slide that way. And it's like someone else from my team telling me versus like the talent, like being scared, like, oh, if I tell Ari, like, what's going to happen, you know what I mean? Cause they're like, they are your manager. So ask them what the team looks like. And then also I would ask how many people they are specifically looking after. You know, if it's 20, you know, it's gonna be tough. I think if a manager's managing 10 people that are, you know, mid-size, that's manageable. On my team, I wouldn't put like, you know, I wouldn't put like I wouldn't put more than like 3 people under somebody if they were really big talents, right? Like if it was like, I don't manage them, but if it was like Addison, Dixie, and Charlie, like I would just have one manager on Charlie the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's basically, and also too, like you may not live in the same city that, you know, if you don't live in LA, you know, you're still, your manager should be talking to you every single day. You know, the way that I've worked is that, like, you know, we try to get to know somebody before we like make them sign on the dotted line, but also, and sometimes like I'll just like bring an opportunity. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? You know, a lot of times now we're just like, we'll have them sign an NDA. So it's a non-circumvent. So if I do bring that up, they can't like go around me, you know, just for that one opportunity. But like, you know, because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, work with, you know, can you just do it like as you go management? And then it's like, yeah, but if I build you up, like, and I'm, you know, getting you verified on all these platforms, then like you got to rock with me. You know what I mean? So, you know, put yourself in the manager's shoes at the same time, but I would definitely get an idea of who they work with, and not only who they work with, but like, it's so easy on TikTok. You could go to any of my clients' pages and see their brand deals.
Yeah.
Go look on their pages, and if they're rep by us, now, of course, like the ramp up period is probably 1 to 3 months of like where like I start pitching them and they start getting a bunch of deals. Like that's if they don't get that many incoming deals. But like, you know, you can go and check and see what people are bringing. You know, there's very few people like in this industry that I would recommend. One person I really like is Charlie. I forget his last name, but he reps Brent Rivera, and and he's like really big in the TikTok space. So like you want to have someone that understands that space, you know. And then the other thing too is that, like, let's say you're a musician, you've been being a musician for a long time, but you want a manager in digital. Then, you know, what we do sometimes is I'm like, listen, you know, traditional for management on a musician is 10%. I'll take 10% on the music side and 20 on your digital side. Or I won't touch your music side till you come to me and say, yeah, I really like you. I want you to touch my music side. You know what I mean? So the way that we work is like, I send a contract and I'm like, chop it up. You tell me like where it's unfair about it, you know?
Right.
So
overall, you think it's definitely beneficial to have someone then kind of work on your own and do things on your own?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I have a quick question real quick for myself / Mackenzie. For someone who's at her numbers right now and like the rate that she's growing, I think you have like what, 1.2 million or
1.3.
1.3. If she's getting approached, and this is for anybody else, but like specifically in Mackenzie's space right now, if she's getting approached by managers that aren't like, you know, maybe the best to work with or not ideal, how would someone as an influencer go reach out and find management and be proactive and like, I want to find someone who's going to resonate with me and like who I'm about and what I'm doing? Is there any like advice in terms of like, how would someone reach someone like you or the people that you mentioned in the right way if they're like, I want to do this for real?
The way that I like, you know, people are reaching out to me because they see influences in a lot of people's profiles, you know, but like, and honestly, like the way that we're working right now is like, you know, we can't take everybody on. So like if somebody reaches out to me and they're not like somebody that I think I could help grow, like I would probably just I would probably refer them to like the handful of people that you know, that I trust, that would also be able to take them on. Or, you know, we might just say, hey, like, let's stay in touch. You know, what I would do is continue to grow this, continue to grow that. And when you get to this point, let's talk. But hey, by the way, I'll keep you, you know, in our sort of wheelhouse, so that if there's a deal that makes sense for you, and, you know, like it's for a micro influencer, we don't have anybody on there that's a micro influencer or whatever it may be, we might just kick you those deals because we know you know what I mean? Like we work direct with a lot of talent, and it's like sometimes people are looking for something very specific, but I would say like, you know, look for look for other managers that are in that space. Like for example, when I worked in with a lot of bachelor people, like, you know, the managers that are managing a lot of bachelor girls, they're getting a lot of those deals. So like what you had to look at is, who could I benefit from? So for example, I don't know what kind of content you make, but let's say that there's a manager that has a girl that's kind of like you, but like way bigger, right? But you're on that trajectory to get to like that level. I would reach out to that manager, because for them, it's going to be a lot easier to get you deals, right? Because they're going to be already talking to the people that, you know, are getting her deals. And it's going to be easy to like pitch you to, hey, you know, why don't we add her to the deal, you know? So, and not, I'm sorry, not to the deal. The way that what we work is like, we'll close the deal with that person first. And then if there's extra budget, then we're like pitching other talent, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you definitely want to work with someone that's in that wheelhouse. So for example, if somebody reaches out to you and they're managing like a bunch of male TikTok talent, and you're a female Instagram person, like they're not going to have any contacts that are coming their way that is going to fit for you, you know?
Right. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thank you, Mackenzie. I just want to hop on real quick and say that was a super valuable.
By the way, if you need help, I'll connect.
She's still there. I just stopped her video. Yeah, I'll send you her stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
I just want to say though, I think that's such a good idea, and it's so simple but so brilliant. Like, just find influencers that are similar to you but bigger, and find out who their managers are. Because, like you said, it's going to be so much. It's kind of like going back to what we said earlier. Like, why make it harder for management even to be like, hey, I'm like your staff or like your talent. Can you help me out? Do you want to rep me? It's so much easier versus if you go to someone who's a manager is like, I work with guys who are bros, and why would I can't know, I'm not gonna do it. So that's like such a good,
you're like, and that's the thing, unless you're like popping off so big that you're like, you know, I want Tana's manager to manage me, like, you know, like those people aren't gonna obviously like add another person to their roster unless it's somebody like they know they can build. Like, so like I was talking to like Sam Shahidi, right, who is a good friend of mine, who he like built Lele Pons and all in shots and like all the people under him. When a lot of these big, you know, YouTube or TikTok people came out, I was getting advice from him. And it's like, you know,
Okay.
Like, he's adorable. Like, you can't, that's universally adorable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like anybody that watches that, and it's like a dad, son, it's like it's a good story, right? Another one was Jacqueline, beautiful girl that can dance, and all her videos super well lit, and just super brand friendly. You know, I could think of a million brands that would want to work with both of them. So and also I knew I wanted like a female dancer, because a lot of times the labels want somebody to choreograph their stuff. And, you know, I wanted to have somebody that could fit that need at a lower rate. You know, not everybody can afford the Lopez brothers or whatever, you know what I mean? So for my roster, it was important for me at that time to like, you know, fit those people in. So, and also because, you know, I think we could grow them. I mean, TikTok's just growing so fast that, it was really like, it made sense, you know. But of course I want like also like the Jason Coffees of the world that have 15 million followers, who know how to do YouTube videos, who know how to do, that really understand the platform, that have a big social media across Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I mean, that's the dream, right? And like, but at the same time, I know that like a lot of people that blew up on TikTok, if they have talent, that they're going to blow up on YouTube as well. You know, we just have to give them the right tools. And some of that might just be like literally like with Alex French right now, she's like, she blew up because she would like do these vlogs or like, hi, but like, she wasn't just saying hi. She was like, hi, this is what I did today. And like, you know, she put it all together, but like, that's what she was known for. So I'm like, I told her for her YouTube, we should have like an intro where she's like, hi, you know, she's just a really cute little, and then we did the intro for her, and she's putting out that content, and that's what people like. So I think that, you know, it's just about, can I build a brand under this person? You know, bottom line, can I build a brand that I could stand behind, and that I could pitch to any brand that I'm working with that would make, you know, that, and they would be like, yeah, that makes sense. There was a kid, you know, nothing against him, but like, he's had like 10 million followers, but all he does in his videos is throw his sister around, like, you know, it looks like he's like beating her up, like not in a bad way, but just like doing really crazy things. Like all of a sudden she throws her, and I'm like, great kid. And I'm sure he's not actually hurting his sister, but like, I'm a brand. I don't mess with that. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, as much, doesn't matter how many followers he had, I wasn't going to sign him. Like, you know?
Okay, because I'm in the fitness niche, so I noticed I looked at your website. I actually sent you a connection request on LinkedIn a long time ago. I just realized I looked again, but I was looking at your website, and it seems like you don't have any like specifically fitness, like, because it's hard to find. I haven't seen any fitness, like actual fitness influencers. They're more like they start off as models and then they transition into fitness.
And I would love to have a fitness person, honestly. Like, I think it would be like when those coronavirus stuff ends, like I've got like 4 houses I'm working on. Like, you know, we need like a fitness guy to come in and do boot camp. Like stuff like that would be super fun. They would help grow that person, you know? But yeah, that's a niche that we don't have yet. You know, yeah. So it's like, and that's the thing, right? Is I don't have somebody in every niche, right? Like, I was telling you guys about my first client, the person that ended up leaving, but like she, like the contacts that I have because of her, like will translate to other talent that's like similar to her. You know what I mean? So like, and people need to understand that just because a brand does a deal with somebody doesn't mean they're not going to do a deal with like another person. Like most of the time a brand has a budget to get at least like 5 or 10 influencers in the thing. So, you know, influencers shouldn't be so like, well, why are you getting this person the deal? You know what I mean? It's like, no, I mean, brands want to be able to like reach several audiences. So for example, like even like Marcus and Steph, who I work with, they have like 6 million followers each. If they probably have a similar audience, right? So there might be different things that come up. So for example, like the Trolls movie, you know, they fit perfectly. So for the Trolls, I would want to hire both of them, right? Because like that's like double exposure to the same audience. That's like a kid audience. That's like it's gonna resonate because they all posted at the same time. So it's like when you're on Instagram and you know one hair brand is working with all the girls from The Bachelor, and they do it on purpose because whenever an affluent female shopper in the US and Canada is looking on Instagram, she's likely following everyone from The Bachelor. And so that day it's like Bachelor post, shampoo post, and she's like, she's going to buy that shampoo, right? But let's say let's say that somebody just wants exposure across like, you know, a younger audience, an older audience, you know, a fitness audience, then I need a bunch of different people with different audiences, right? So I think that it's important to have a couple in each lane, but like for us, we should talk. So we don't have a fitness person yet. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I sent you I commented on something on LinkedIn too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And if anybody like wants advice or, you know, anything, you guys could just email me at ceo@influences.com, and me and Monty check that email because Monty's really heads recruitment with me. And you know, Monty's a great resource because his daughter, same thing, got approached by everyone under the sun to manage her, and he literally talked to everybody, and they held out, and it's like, you know, Monty came back to me and he's like, man, I've seen everybody working, Ari, but like at the end of the day, you've gone through a lot, you know, because when you're at the top, people want to come at you. And so, but I just stayed super positive and just, you know, I stayed out of like try to stay out of like the drama stuff and just was like, bring people deals, like make people happy, bring them money. And in the end, everybody come back and it's like, what the worst they could say about me is like, man, she's bringing me tons of deals and like, you know, not whining about it and not like constantly pitching me. It's like, once somebody says like no, or they're like, you know, they're dating too many managers, like oh yeah, what can you do for me? What can you do for me? From a management, like once you become at like my level of being, it's like, we don't need to deal with that. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're and I'm not saying don't shop around. I'm saying don't ask a bunch of managers to help. And this isn't any regards to what you're saying, but this is just like a good example, like tip for anybody watching is like, everybody talks in this industry. So like, don't like be asking one person like, oh, I want to get, you know, help me get, verified on Instagram and I'll sign with you. And then, you know, you're talking to another person. because at the end of the day, like we're all friends, we all talk to each other, and it's like, man, I'm gonna deal with that person, you know, because it's like that person doesn't respect me, you know. So, but I think what you do want, like, you know, I think the biggest thing is like if you're looking for management, you know, you can either look for somebody that has a lot of people that have a lot of people in that roster, like they manage all the bachelor people, you know. So either someone that's like all fitness, because that's they're constantly getting fitness opportunities, or somebody that doesn't have anyone like you on their roster. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that actually that answered all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Adam. Austin, do you want to hop on? By the way, I am so sorry that I dipped everybody for like a random 5 minutes. My internet completely just died, and I thought the entire call and everything got severed. So I'm over here staring at my router. I'm like, why would you do this to me? But I'm glad to see everything just was able to maintain itself. So anyways, go for it, Austin.
Cool. So thank you for everything you've shared so far.
Yeah.
I have basically a product I'm launching. And I'm kind of looking for influencers. It's basically a phone accessory made out of denim material, and
Cool.
it holds your credit cards in the back. It also has a spot for your keys. That's kind of the unique value of it, and the fact that it's made out of denim. So I'm looking for influencers, and I kind of wanted your expertise and advice on how, if you were in my position, going about looking for them, because I haven't even we haven't even launched yet. So it's basically from like zero, and we're trying to, you know, we're trying to keep the budget very low. Also, like the cheapest way possible, I guess.
So I was on a call the other day with the guy that has a scrunchie company, and the scrunchie like zips, and you can like put stuff in the scrunchie. And he reached out and he was like, you know, honestly, he's like, I've been, you know, getting people to post for like, you know, just product and like, you know, $100 or something like that. You know, I think when you're launching a product, when you're a startup, like unless you're like, you know, ready to go big, like you're not going to see a huge return on like direct response from like TikTok marketing. I would say, I definitely think that like, you know, you could create TikTok content and then have them repost it to their story with a swipe up.
We're thinking not just TikTok. I was talking more so like in a general TikTok, Instagram kind of sense.
So kind of an untapped place is Snapchat right now, because anybody that's verified on Snapchat, they get like a lot of views per story. So I have a lot of direct response type companies that like want a return, like a direct return from a swipe up link to purchase, that are doing really well on Snapchat. And sometimes the influencers, like if they don't care about their Snapchat that much, like they'll just give you a way better rate on Snapchat. But I would say like, you know, what I see for like products, when you're like, hey, buy this product and this is how it works or whatever, if you want to do like a 3 to 4 frame story with at least like 2 swipe ups, those are the ones I've seen convert the best. You could also just go with like, you know, like TikTok influencers, like that are smaller, that are creating a bunch of content for you, and then do a contract with them where you can use the content that they make for your advertisements. So what you can do is like, you know, pay them $50 or $100 if it's like a micro influencer, but have them do an engaging piece of content and then use that content and promote it. Or you can sometimes whitelist it underneath their page, like in Facebook or whatever. You know, I haven't been in that realm for like a year or so, like since we started building the management company, because we used to do influencer marketing like for brands, but you know, don't spend a ton of money. I would say like, you know, test it out and see how it does. But like really the value of micro influencers is the content that they make that you can, you know, use on your social media pages, use them as content creators, you know, don't pay them pennies. I mean, I would like to say like pay a creator at least, you know, even if it's if it's a micro or nano, like pay them 100, 250 a pop, you know, just because they're creating that content. I mean, it's like, you don't want to pay someone like minimum wage to do stuff for you, because they won't come out as good.
On just sending the product kind of for free and trying to get, not really, just trying to send it to them and let them use it and share their opinion if they like it, kind of thing.
Like it's really about doing outreach and seeing like what influencers are down to do that. You know what I mean? Like some of them, like might not, like bigger ones, like anybody that's making money isn't gonna like do that. At the same time, if it's something that's really cool that they really like you may, it's just a matter of what can you afford. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
would say if you do a deal like that, just assume none of them are going to post. Don't have the expectation of like, oh, I sent out 200 case holders and all these people are going to post. Just literally assume that 0 will post, and then you'll be like happy when like 10 of them do. You know what I mean? So don't like go broke sending out the free thing if you can't, you know what I mean? If you can't afford it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Super awesome. That scrunchie idea is pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, that's
Okay, thanks, Austin.
thank you.
Okay, so this is Seal.
And you know
Go
what?
for
And
it.
like, and then also pay attention to influencers that like are gonna like that product. Like I was just thinking, like Candy Ken, they're always showing like money in their thing. So like if I was doing like a wallet type of thing, I would hit up Candy Ken because I'd be like, you have wallet in every, like it makes sense to do the thing. So you could also like that scrunchie line, they reached out to Alex. You know, Alex has no hair. So like it would have been a really funny video that people are definitely gonna see of like, you know, why does she have a scrunchie on her wrist and she doesn't have any hair? She's like, oh, I'm putting stuff in there, or I use it to like give to my friends. Like, you know, she can make fun content. So I don't know if they did that on purpose, but I was like, that's brilliant if they did, because this piece of content is going to go super viral because they were very, like, if you're thoughtful about the type of influencer that you're reaching out to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking about like fashion influencers and like people that are kind of passionate about denim, just that kind of route. Yeah, I'm back with the video. But yeah, that's really,
you know what I would do on TikTok is you could get we're doing these videos because, you know, everybody's doing the quarantine like collabs where they pass something. So you could literally be like, start with one and then they pass it to the next one, and then everybody has the thing, and then at the end you're waiting to see what they pull out of it.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you.
That's a killer fucking idea right there. Like when you said that, I actually smiled right now. I was like, yo, that's an easy one. Because the duet chains right now, that's a big deal. That's a big thing. Even with, what's his name? Micah Cow? Micah Cow? He's like the transition guy. He started collaborating with a lot of big influencers. They're all doing these like little transition loop things. So that's a good one. Ari should be charging for that one. She's like, you know, I'm gonna send you a little invoice real quick. What was your name again, Austin? What's your email? Let me send you this invoice. Let me send you this quote. Okay, thanks so much, Austin.
Thank you.
Hey, so before I bring you on, I have a question. Actually, I should probably go on camera, right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut off the other person.
No. I'll make sure to bring her back on. But there's someone in the comments that asked a question I thought was really, really good. She said, not sure if this has been asked yet, but how does someone become a manager? Because she loves connecting people. Like, how does someone get where you're at, basically, or do your job, or be like work with you, or
people. You just gotta shadow somebody that's really good. Like, honestly, go become Jordan's personal assistant. Like, you know, go become like you. I really think it takes drive and it takes a lot of patience, and it's like, and you have to wake up every morning and watch your kids' content, you know, and you have to watch what other people are doing online so you can get ideas. You have to really be integrated. You have to watch a lot of content, and then also be working with somebody that, you know, I don't know, some managers, they do both. They do like the deals and they do like the day-to-day hand-holding of stuff. So, you know, it just depends on really who you admire or who you want to work for. But, you know, interning, you know, I would say, yeah, interning or go work for someone for free that you admire, you know.
I will say this though, from what my experiences have been and like connecting with Ari and stuff, it's not very easy. Like it's a lot of energy and time. Like you were sick. You went to Playlist Live, got even more sick, came back home, dying of illness, and still was working. And you, unfortunately, like, you know, you had a family event that you had to miss, but stuff like that, like you can't bail and not go to Florida for 3 days. You're like, I have to suck it up. So I'm not saying that's like the person who asked Melanie, but in general, like it might look cool, like, oh, she's hanging out with all these people, but like you said, you're sitting there for 5 hours a day watching videos of your creators.
You cannot be like what's it called? Thin, like skin. You have to have a thick skin, because some days the people that you love, that you work around the clock for, they're gonna call and they're gonna bitch at you, and you can't be like, hey, go fuck yourself. Like, you have to be like, okay, I hear you. You know, that's the biggest thing I'm learning is like, because I you know, my one of my mentors, he always reminds me, like, the 4 agreements, Ari. You know, one of the 4 agreements is don't take things personally, because I always just like, I'm like, how dare they talk to me? Like, do they not know what I did for them yesterday? And it's like you can't, like, I'm even learning not to do that, you know, because people only can see from the perspective of what they're coming from, right? Like, they don't have the experience, like they only see what's in front of them, and you have to have the patience to be like the biggest thing I've learned is to actually to say, like, I hear what you're saying. If I hear you correctly, this is what you're saying to me. And then instead of, because some, like, in the beginning I would just be defensive, right? Because I'm like, no, you don't understand what it's like, okay, I hear you, actually hear them, repeat it back to them what their issue is, or what their, you know, because there's going to be issues. Like, there's always, like, it's like, you know, your mom, I mean, look at the Kardashians, like, they don't get along with their mom all the time, you know, but like the mom has the best interest in mind for them. And, you know, and it doesn't mean you just agree with your manager all the time, but it means, like, have a little empathy and compassion. And that empathy and compassion has to be taught both ways. I think that the talent needs to understand to have empathy and compassion and lead with kindness. And the manager has to have empathy and compassion and lead with kindness. I would just, that's the biggest thing that I've learned, is that, like, if somebody's, you know, putting something over your head or being condescending, you know, sometimes even, like, because texting is happens so frequently, like, sometimes I'll put something in a text, and then, like, Laura on my team will be like, hey, Ari, like, I know you didn't mean it like this, but, like, because she knows me, right? Because I'm not a condescending person, but she's like, the way that might come off to that person is that, like, they, like, you're being like a no, you know, and I'm like, damn, I didn't mean it like that, you know. And it's like, and I'll go back and you know, I use voice notes a lot sometimes now, like, just so that people can hear your
tone,
you know, your tone. But it's just, it really is about, like, psychology. And honestly, like, for me, when I came into this business, like, one of the things that we were going to do is, like, my buddy knows the guy that works with, like, Robert Downey Jr. He's, like, essentially, like, his therapist, but, like, is also his, like, life coach, business coach. And I'm like, man, can we bring that guy in to, like, whenever we're having an issue with talent, like, he can just talk to them. And then my advisors were like, no, we can't just, like, give him a shrink. But, like, I ended up just starting to go with, like, to him. And he was like, okay, in order for me to get your kids, like, I need to work on the leader, you know? And so how can we work on the things that, like, you're having trouble with? And then he's like, and then we could maybe talk about, like, when you're, like, a superstar and these kids are like, how did Ari get to that level? Like, we want to meet with that guy. Like, can we meet with him? Because, you know, we saw the change that it made in Ari, or whatever, you know, we saw the communication improve or whatever. And, like, he was saying, you know, when like a NFL player goes to the NFL, like, they have a coach like that like teaches them, like, go get an STD check, like, don't sleep around, don't, like, do this, don't, you know, you're getting a media training, you know, so you don't. And that's, like, eventually what I want to build is, like, that side that, like, promotes, like, you know, helps support them in mental health in all those arenas. But it's like, obviously that those are just resources that I can give to talent. I can't, like, make somebody go to, like, a shrink, but I definitely think that, like, talent should be thinking, like, how can I improve myself all the time to, like, you know, be better myself, better my relationship with my manager. If you're going to make the plunge of working with that manager, like, don't be half in, half out all the time. Like, make it work. It's like a marriage, you know, you don't get out of that marriage unless it's absolutely, like, that person, you caught them cheating on you, and you know, you have proof. And, like, you know, and the other thing is too, is, like, that's why I think it's so important to have things in writing, because it's like assumptions. My teacher used to tell me, assuming it makes an ass out of you and me, you know, because literally, like, I can have an assumption that, like, you know, I'm creating a content house and you have to post, you know, you have to post at Hype House, every time you're staying here. And I'm assuming, well, I'm paying rent, so I don't have, and all those assumptions, and it's just implodes. And it's not that two people were bad people. It's just that there wasn't enough communication. So
Yeah.
I would say, managers, what does it take to become a manager? Like, is be over communicative, have a lot of patience, and always be improving yourself, and mentor these people like they're your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Real quick, is it okay if we do a few more? I don't know how
Yeah.
your time is. Okay.
got
I know
a little-
that, again, you're like you're the biggest one. Everybody's like, yo, I have so many questions for her. So I don't want to abuse your time. Maybe if everybody, you can all pull together and send her some Uber Eats or something.
I
And
had
like, hey.
an airhead moment the first time we were supposed to talk and totally like bailed on you. So I definitely owe you, and I appreciate everybody tuning back in, even though I had a brain fart one day.
I promise you, everybody, this was the one that everybody was like, I need to be there. There's actually someone who was like in the beginning, he's like, it's 4:00 in the morning and I woke up for this call. Let's do it. So kind of funny. Seal, did you want to go ahead and hop back on? Sorry, you were on and then you went off. So sorry about that.
Oh, you're on
to unmute myself. Oh, hi. Hi, Ariadna. Thank you for being here. I love all your stories, and I especially love your entrepreneurial spirit. Like, you're very enthusiastic about what you do. And I had a question, I guess, in regards to one of your stories where you were mentioning how that influencers should be, I guess, like that big companies may not have like the budget for them to, I guess, pay them for like if influencers think they're worth X amount of dollars, but the company doesn't have the budget for them. I guess at what point does, I guess, the resume building stop? I guess because you're asking the company essentially like, oh, I like you guys, I want to work with you, so we're going to be working at a like I guess like a better rate which works for both the influencer and the company. But
I think you have to weigh your time, and so for example, like, and your circumstance, right? So let's say that I got a bunch of money in the bank saved up, and I don't really need a brand deal right now, right? But like, and so I want to, and so it's like you have the opportunity to, like, you don't want to bog down if you could like live with putting no ads on, and you're crushing it, like, you have a lot of leverage, because obviously the more ads you do on your feed, especially if they're not like in line with whatever you want to do, then that's not, you don't want to take things for lower rate if you already have, or like, for example, like, let's say I'm an influencer and I have a Fashion Nova deal and a deal with this other thing, and I have to post a lot, but I'm getting paid a lot for that, like, bulk content. Like, let's say, another brand comes along and they're offering, like, let's say my rate is $2,500 typically. And they're offering $1,000, but it's going to take me a lot of time to make that video, and I already have this other, these other commitments. Like, I probably wouldn't take that deal. Now, if it was like a brand that I really like, then maybe I would take that deal. So it's really, I would say, like, set a standard rate of like what you want to be making per video, or what you think. Like, a lot of it is like, do it by a CPM. So you guys can go online and find a CPM calculator. And so, like, a typical CPM for like radio and advertising is I think it's like a $30 CPM. So it's cost per 1,000 views or listens or whatever. So, like, typically if let's say a brand, like, let's say you get 100,000 views. I'm really bad at math, but like, let's just say you get 100,000 views typically, and and then you're charging the brand, I don't know, on TikTok, let's say you're charging the brand like $10,000. Whatever that CPM is probably not going to back out for the brand, like, because, so make sure that, how do I explain it? Do you kind of get what Michael, can you help me out on this one? Like,
well, that actually segues into my next question, essentially. Like, if you have like statistics already ready for them, is there room for negotiation with the brand? Like you're saying, like I get X amount of views. These are my viewers. This is like the niches that they're in, or
Well,
this is what they're
you
interested
always
in.
want them to give you the first offer.
Oh.
Yeah, I would say like I would always get the first offer from the brand, honestly. Like, you know, they go, hey, what are your rates? And I would be like, hey, what are the deliverables? You know, then I would look at the deliverables. Do I have to go somewhere to film this? Do I have to, is it super addy? Like, do I have to be like reading a script? What's the caption? Like, if it's a fun one that like they're gonna be like, oh, what's your concept? Then maybe I would charge them less because it's not gonna like interrupt my feed so much, you know. But like I would definitely say always like get them to put the first offer out. And then, you know, I really don't like to give out rates because it's like, if once you give out a rate, then you're stuck to that. You don't know if they would have paid you more. So I would definitely get them to give you an offer. And then if it's like super lowball, I would just be like, hey, you know what? I'm really, you know, I really work hard on my engagement. I'd love to like, you know, try out your product and, you know, and maybe we can work together in the future, you know, or whatever it might be. But like, it's funny. I was sitting in a dinner with 15 managers, all different types of, you know, gamer managers. And I asked that question, I'm like, is there like a way to do it? And everybody's like, no, just throw something on the wall, see what sticks. And really the goal is to not leave money on the table. You know what I mean? If I worked with this one girl, she was on The Bachelor, and she was really picky about the deals she would take. I was like, cool, no problem. She's like, I don't believe in these, you know, super picky. And then she got pregnant, and I was like, watch, as soon as you have your kid, you're gonna tell me, let's close every deal, whatever the max they're paying, let's just close it. Why? Because you want to build as much money as you can for your kid, right? And so her mentality changed so different from before, when she was like, I only want to take these, you know, and neither one is right or wrong, you know what I'm saying? But it's like what it's all about what matters to you in that, you know, time frame. Like, you know, I've got talent that wants to move here from another country, and they're like, we have to make money like right now. And it's like, even though I know my value, once you get the final offer, like the final one from the brand, it's like, if it makes sense for them, like they're going to do it. You know what I mean? So, but it really depends on the talent. Some people are like, nope, I don't really need the money. I'd rather just build my following, and I don't want to overload them with ads, and I don't really need to be making money off social media right now. Hold out, you know? So it really just depends. Does that answer your question at all? I feel like
Yes, definitely. It's very well rounded. And I was just wondering, do you hold off on brand deals with, like, if the brand deal you don't feel like fits your influencer, like at the moment?
Oh yeah, okay. Because I mean, I'll tell you good. Like, so I'm friends with Larry Rudolph. He manages Britney Spears, and he managed her from like the very start. So at the beginning, you know, her family, like they weren't making a ton of money. Like, you know, it wasn't like she just made money overnight. And there was, remember when that commercial came out, the herbal essences, where she's like having an orgasm and she's like, oh, and it was like a very famous commercial. They were going to put Britney in that commercial, and it was like, you know, I don't know what they were going to pay her. Let's say it was like, you know, $1 million to be in that commercial. And, you know, they thought about it, and Larry was like, you know, I really want to hold out for like, you know, she's going to be in a commercial where they're like, you know, it's fun and games. Like, she's, you know, it sounds like an orgasm, but like, I don't know if this is the right one for her. Like, even though it was a lot of money, let's say $1 million, right? And then she's never seen that kind of money. They passed on it. And then however long later, and by the way, she had never done a commercial before. And then Pepsi came, and remember, I think it was Pepsi. She did a Super Bowl commercial with Pepsi, and let's say she got $10 million. And if she would have done, and the reason why they did it at $10 million or whatever, however much she got paid, was because she had never done another ad before, you know, or another commercial before. So her partnership with Pepsi like ended up being tenfold what that original thing. And I don't know if it was a year later or 5 months later, but that's a very similar lesson in like what an influencer can do is like, you know, if it doesn't seem like it's the right deal for you, or if it's going to take you in another direction that your fans aren't going to like hold out for that bigger deal if you can, right? Unless you need the money. And then it's like, then, you know what I mean? If you're going to go broke and you're going to not be able to be a creator because you're focused on paying your bills and you're stressed out, like take the herbal essences deal. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for answering my question. That was thank you so much. It's awesome.
That was a super awesome answer.
Yeah,
I was sitting there like, let me write that down real quick.
I'll give you another example. I had a talent that we went to New York, and she met with with Gary Vee's team, and there was a big company that wanted to do a brand deal with her, but they'd never done anything on TikTok, and they offered this person, you know, I don't know the numbers, but let's say like she normally was getting like 8,000 to 10,000 for a TikTok. Let's say they offered her like, you know, 2,000 or something. And so it was way under her thing, but like, I knew who was behind it, right? I knew the company and I knew it was Vayner, right? And I'm like, listen, dude, take that freaking deal. Like, I'm telling you, first of all, Gary's my guy. And like, you know, and I think I need to do him a solid. So I've gotten you all these other deals. Like, let's just do this one, but trust me, it's going to be good. And, you know, at first she's like, and she's kind of like half-assing. I'm like, no, you need to do a good job on it because there's a lot more where that came from. I mean, Vayner manages budgets for, you know, a ton of other brands. I have a good relationship with them. They're not going to screw you. Like, this is a give, you know, like, let's just do a give. She did it, and she did a great job. And 2 weeks later, the person on Gary's team called me and goes, hey, do you guys have time for a 5-minute call with Gary? We're putting together a Super Bowl commercial. And that person got the commercial. So,
oh, wow.
You know, she trusted me. She was like, okay, I wouldn't, but you know, I wouldn't tell her to do it for that rate with that person unless I knew. And listen, I'm not going to guarantee, but it's a small world, right? And by the way, you know, when we had that call with Gary, he literally told her, he was like, you're great, you're amazing. I think you'd be great for this. And I think this is going to put you on a platform if you get to do this thing. He's like, you know, we're paying X amount, we're paying everybody the same, but like, you know, I think this could be really great for your career. And he's like doing this because, you know, and like that was like, I was like, damn, that's, you know what I mean? But that's what talent has to realize is that, you know, you want to work with people that have built relationships and, you know, that, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be new talent, but there's only going to be so many people that are really good at what they do in digital, right? Like I don't know another person exactly like Gary Vee or like people on his team, you know? So there's only so many people, there's only so many Scooter Brauns of the world, right? And it's like, if I was a musician, like I would want to work with someone that has the relationships, like, you know, with those types of people. So, but even as a creator, you can build those relationships. You know, you can decide, hey, you know, if I help out this brand with this opportunity, when they come back with a bigger budget because they did a little test, you know, with influencers, it's hard because like when you're doing paid media, you can do a small test. I can test with $1,000. I can test an ad, see if it works, and then come back and spend, you know, triple, quadruple, 20 times what I originally spent. But with influencers, it's like, you don't really know if it's going to back out. And so if you're confident that you're going to back out for a brand, that you're going to do a good job, do it with them, because a lot of times they're going to come back, and when they get that bigger budget, they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to give that, you know, that budget to that influencer because I already know that I already know their team. I know they work well. I know they're going to show up. I know that their ad converts, whatever.
Oh, thank you so much. That was so awesome. Like, yeah, I wrote down a lot of stuff. Like, you can't see it, but my pencil is just like scribbling. Thank you so much.
Value.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's interesting hearing from like women entrepreneurs, just because I don't see them that often, and then it's just like, whoa, like you really know your stuff.
No, honestly, like that's my biggest focus is like I had really amazing mentors. I never had a female mentor. And I'll tell you, it wasn't until I started working in this TikTok space that I met Celine Joshua. She's the head of content strategy at Universal. And she's just a friend. We haven't done any deals yet. You know, she actually, Nick Crompton works for her, and Kate Spicer, who are in Team 10, and they were the ones that brought me to meet her. But like I just, you know, there's other labels want to work with us. I just want to work with Universal because Celine's like, because having a female role model to me is like means the world, especially because like, you know, she's loyal and she's just all the things that I hope I can be to somebody one day, you know. And I think it's important to have, you know, to spend 30% of your time with people who are more experienced than you, 30% with your peers, and 30% with people that you're bringing up, you know. So yeah, so I feel really lucky to have Celine in my you know, as a relationship. And you know, I definitely want to be somebody that helps, you know, other female entrepreneurs, because that's a whole nother conversation and call. But like, you know, even Monty jumping onto my team, like there's been so many times where like, and you don't want to whine and bitch, just like I'm getting screwed because I'm a girl, but like even just having Monty pick up the phone and call, and then they're like, oh, never mind. It's like sometimes you feel like you need some muscle behind you, right? It's like, even though I know I'm the muscle, it's like, but that's what's so great about having a team around me now, is that like I have female mentors. I have, you know, and I don't know if that's part of culture. I'll always think that, you know, there's some leverages about being a girl, that I can connect with other women better than probably a guy can. And there's some benefits of being a guy, you know? So
I completely agree with what you said.
We all do with what we got.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said, just because it's like, and I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know there's other people who want to ask questions, but like, yeah, I really admire that, just because I've been trying to find like female entrepreneurs to like look to mentor and mentor me, but they're like, you guys are like diamonds in the rough, or like really hard, like a needle in the haystack to just like look for somebody. I'm just like, I just want to look for somebody who is like, that can mentor me as like a female entrepreneur. I'm like, there's too many guys out there where I'm just like, I can't relate to all you because none of you know my problems. Like none of you. Like props to Gary Vee and all that kind of stuff. Like nothing wrong with the guys, but it's just like sometimes it's like, where are the girls at?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
But anyways, thank you so much for answering my questions.
Problem.
And sorry it took you so much of your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sue. Little Miss Miranda, how's it going? Oh, you're muted, by the way.
Thought you were going to turn the microphone on too, Michael. Hey,
Hi,
thanks for sharing everything with us. You're really personable too. I like that.
Oh,
really cool stories. Thank you. I wanted to ask, what kinds of people do you usually look for? Is it just strictly entertainers and talent based, or do you ever look for like educators, people that do educational content?
You know, like as far as like who I look for, I mean, most of the people like fall in my lap lately, you know. It's like either I'm seeing them, or like, you know, the girls in the Valley, the girls that I represent, there's like 5 or 6 TikTokers, but like initially it was like the girls that lived in the house, and like Emmy and Alex were like so friendly with everybody that like I would see people come in, and so I'd get to like see the collaborations, and then there'd be like somebody that like stuck out to me of like, I really like that person, I just like their vibe, and then I'd chat with them and see if they had a manager. So luckily a lot of the people have just like come to me, you know. But like I would love to have people, you know, actually there's a platform that's launching right now. My PR company sent it to me, that is going to be like all education based stuff, like from, you know, like the like, for example, like I would rep Matthew Hussey, right? Like I love him because he's like talks about dating and relationships, and his content is like really engaging in that niche. Anybody that's really engaging in a certain niche and is really knowledgeable, like, yeah, that would be really interesting for me on the education side. You know, Drea, that we rep, Drea Knows Best. She has a podcast where she interviews other people that are trying to, you know, be in the TikTok space, and she's kind of like an OG that like teaches, you know, the other TikTokers are really that other TikTokers are really engaged with. Like, I also try to pick out people I can tell are the leaders in the space. So for example, like Marcus Olin, like you can just tell all these kids like look up to him and they do whatever he like. He's the guy that knows what's going on. Like he's like, oh, if you put these people in a house, like he literally told me he hadn't even signed to me yet, and he was like, I think you should manage this kid. And I'm like, why? And he's like, look at his engagement. And he's like, and look at it, he's fashion. And he's like, and I'm like, okay. And like literally I ended up meeting him and signed him, and the kid has gotten to like 1 million followers in like very short amount of time. Everybody wants to collaborate with him. Noah Eubanks, all these people. So, you know, I try to find the leaders in the space. So I don't know who the leader is in education on TikTok or YouTube. Like, you know, I only really know what I watch, but if something was put in front of me, then I'd be able to say, hey, can I help this person? Or maybe I would connect them with like somebody like Dan Fleischman, who does like a lot of the, like Jake Paul just did a course that they released. I would put them with somebody, one of my colleagues that I knew that like, you know, focuses on that space.
Yeah, I do health and diet, so it's like it's educational, but like a lot of people have issues with, or you know, they want to improve their diet and health.
So like what I would want to do is like, what my best advice to you is like, go find all the influencers that are like struggling with that, and like, not all of them actually, go find like 2 or 3 that you could be like, I could really invest the time in you and give you like the services essentially for free, and then get them to be your advocates. Because once they go on your podcast or, you know, your show or whatever, or your like, you know what I mean? Like that, they're gonna tell a real story. So that's something that, you know, you might want to think about doing, or just take one person on, you know?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Very helpful. Thank you.
I was talking and I'm like, oh wait, I am not unmuted. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting, Ari, and then also I guess Miranda and everybody else, like where the talent's coming from now, and then also the content wise, where it seems to be diversifying a lot from the funny, cute, like interesting people, you know, to the what you see now, like the more diversity happening of like different types of content, like the Bentist, for example, like that's very, very, you know, different than what you would think in terms of like influencers and stuff.
Yeah, and what's so cool is he's getting deals that are outside of dentistry, like because he's just so personable and like people connect with him. And like, you know, it's crazy because we get all his emails and like he gets more fan mail from people like being like, I broke my bracket and I can't go see it. Like, it's so cool to see that, right? And so like, you know, I'm like a dot connector. So for example, like I was on a call with my PR company, and they're like, you know, who should we pitch to Good Morning America? And like, you know, they want feel good stories right now. And I'm like, oh, we got to do the Bentist because he's got all this content on TikTok about how to fix your bracket. And like, you know, and these kids are so engaged in it. And it's like, think about it. What is going to make somebody feel good when, you know, you're taking them out of their comfort zone of what they see every month that you go in to get your brackets changed or whatever it's called, your bands. And now that part of your life is gone and you don't get to see that person. And it's like, it's something that's like, it's a change. That's like, you know, whenever there's change, people get sad or they get scared. And so what the Bentist is offering is a little bit of normalcy and a little bit of support. And that is a feel good story. And so like, I'm connecting that with, you know, to be able to put him on a platform where he can be, you know, one of his goals is like to be kind of like a doctor, not Dr. Oz, but like Dr. Mike, you know, where he's like somebody that they bring in a talent it's a personable guy that people want to see on TV. You know, that's how I would loop the Bentist in. But yeah, for each person, there's a different strategy. I definitely think that like for educators and stuff, you're going to get less like probably brand deals and stuff like that. I would say if that's your focus, unless you're like a fitness model, but you know, you can create your own products. Like you can create your own, like a lot of people are doing like those bands or meal plans, or even like Kayla Itzines, like look what she did with her, you know, little PDFs that turned into sweat. So also for the people that are in fitness, I would connect with Jen Selter. Jen's a really, really good business person, and her sister, Steph, I think is her sister's name. And they actually own a bunch of pages. I think they own @couples. They own, it's not like @fitness, but they own like a couple really good handles. And so, you know, they need content for it all the time. So if you're a fitness person and you want exposure, like give them content and they'll promote you on their social channels. Bella Thorne has a company like that too, called 10 12 p.m. or something like that. I forget what it's called, but they own @girls and @style. So if you're a micro influencer, @girls will post you if you have good content, and then they'll tag you, and then they'll grow your social. So there's some company, you know, there's some people that have those profiles. You can collaborate with them to grow.
There's like different levels to this, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to like tell you all the secrets I know that I don't mention.
Okay, let me see. I'm trying to make it
Nelly.
go.
Oh, she's got her microphone.
I'm trying to take it off a pin. I don't know why. Hold on real quick, Nelly. I'm gonna stop your video and I'm gonna restart it real quick. Cause yours. Okay, there we go. Go ahead, Nelly, and restart it. I hit the wrong button, so I made it so your video was like big and now nobody else was.
Okay, did it work?
Yeah.
Yay! Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I had a question, and I don't know if it's kind of like a silly question, because my niche is more of like the pet account. So I guess what I want to know, if you know anything, is like, how can I make my pet stand out from all of these other pets that are also online? Like, how can I make him? It's a dog, yes. It's a corgi.
And you've been able to grow it?
Yes. So right now we just hit 400K on TikTok.
I got something for you.
Okay.
I'm working with a company called Pause, and they have 1.5 million on Instagram, and they hired us to grow their TikTok account. Anyway, we should talk. I got like a paid monthly client for you, but keep going. I'll let you finish your story.
Yeah, that was basically, it's like, I want, no, you're fine. I see a lot of, well, now I think especially because of the quarantine, there's a lot more accounts jumping in the pet niche and everything. And so I'm trying to make sure that I want to make him to be able to stand out so he can work with business, like with brands and stuff like that. I don't want him to just be like, oh, I'm going to be famous, TikTok famous. No, my goal is to be able to branch him out, to work, like be taken seriously is kind of what I'm hoping to get. But I just like, if you have any insight as, you know, like a manager, like
make something unique. I mean, I worked with Swaggy, the dog. Like, I don't know if you remember, have you seen Swaggerman?
Swaggy.
He'd be considered like an old school dog influencer. If there's like such a thing, like he's like the Jake Paul of dog influencers. Like, he's kind of OG. Like, he's not as like new, but he gets a lot of views. You know, his strategy was that they put him with all celebrities. And I was joking about it with somebody today, because they're like, the only time that we've seen like anybody get into all the events is like, you either got to be a hot girl or you're Swaggy the dog, because you have a cool dog and they let you into everything, and all the celebrities will take a picture with you. So, you know, obviously when this stuff is over, like, definitely collab him, like, you know, go to BeautyCon, you know, go, because everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna see a dog, you know, and like, obviously you want to be good to your pet, you know, but I think there's also like, have something that's like unique about him, you know, or about the dog. What's your dog's name?
Ollie.
Ollie, and it's a corgi?
Yeah, so he's Ollie the corgi is what we kind of put his username.
It might be worth mentioning too. A lot of the videos is about like the dog being super obedient and listening and being calm and collective. So I think like what Ari was saying right now, like if you go to BeautyCon, it's like you don't have to worry about your dog like pissing on somebody and running away. Where it's like, don't worry, he'll sit down, he'll love up on you.
That was the thing with Swaggy, he was really obedient. They painted his tail pink, and that was like kind of his thing, and his little ears pink. But like, you know, and then they would dress him up and stuff. But there's always like, you know, just I would say like some kind of a hook, and then, you know, include them in all the trends that are going on and stuff. But like, you know, I think collabs are like, you know, it will go a long way. Like even if you make a trip out to LA one time and like just get as many collabs in there with him as possible, because you know, most influencers, like they might not want to just collab with just anyone, but like a dog, like they're going to collab, you know, with, and then think about the types of audiences that like, you know, get the best brand deals. Like I would collab my dog all day long with Bachelor people, because Bachelor people make a lot of money, because brands, they're very like, you know, I had a friend that repped a lot of brand Bachelor people, and he's like, literally, Ari, they all have, you know, the Bachelor people have an audience of affluent females over the age of 25 in the US and Canada, which basically makes their pages QVC on steroids. You know what I mean? Because it's like, so you want to have more female followers than you have male followers, honestly, because women buy more stuff. So, but dogs are great because everybody loves dogs. So,
okay, perfect. I will definitely send you an email.
Yeah, send me an email because I might have a client for you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. That was my question.
Wait, hang on. I gotta show. This is Scooby. His name's not really Scooby. His name's Kirby. But I put a blue collar on him, and one day he's gonna be internet famous, Scooby Doo.
Yay! Yeah, mine is. I don't even know. I'll show you. I hope it's okay. But
yeah, I want to see this dog. Oh, what's his name? Ollie the corgi.
Ollie. Yeah. Ollie the corgi.
So cool. Well, congrats.
So this one's him. Thank you. And that was most of the questions. So thank you so much for helping me.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Okay. Bye bye.
It's probably worth mentioning too for Nelly, like that growth wasn't over a long period of time. That was like in a month or two. It wasn't anything like years or several months. It was like 2 months of just doing good content. So yeah, definitely on a good trajectory.
Yes, thank you.
By the way, Ari, do you mind if we do a couple more? I don't want to over abuse your time because you're like, I gotta do stuff.
I don't know if people are sick of hearing me talk.
No. Trust me. There's like a queue of people that are like, hey, can I go next? Hey, are we still doing it?
Okay.
So yeah, go for it, Jordan.
Hey, what's going on? You're on mute, I think too. Yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, thanks for staying on for so late.
Yeah, no worries.
So basically my question is, I haven't been taking the TikTok thing too seriously. You know, because I have a full-time job and stuff. But like I've saved up enough money where I could quit and live off for like a year or two and just produce content.
What platform?
Where I want to produce the content.
Or are you producing on other platforms, or are you saying you're big on TikTok, but you haven't like taken it like fully where you want to take it?
No, I'm not big at TikTok at all. Like I barely post on it. No, what I do is Facebook ads for influencers.
Got it.
But like the guru space, you know, selling those 990. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
And I write jokes for a couple comedians. So my whole goal is to create a comedy brand, right? So I have funds where I can just produce content for about 2 years. For somebody starting off at zero, what are like the milestones that they should aim for, that you consider when working with somebody? Like what do you look for in the growth of somebody like brand new?
You know, I do not really know. It's not true. Okay, so the only accounts I've ever really grown are like Bella Thorne. When she got on TikTok, like she's already a celebrity, so you know, automatically you have visibility. But on TikTok, just because you're a celebrity doesn't matter. If you're not doing the trends, if you're not doing the right people, like, you know, you're not going to grow. Versus like, you know, I would tell Bella like every day, like what to post, who to tag, who to comment. I mean, I was in there in her account, you know, like what song is blowing up right now, and, you know, following all the trends. And we got her to 1 million followers in a month, but she's Bella Thorne. I don't really know how, you know, I'm not an expert in like the growth of it. You know, to be completely honest, I think, you know, will be helpful is I'll connect Michael with like one of my you know, I'd love to like connect you guys with like Joe Mele, because he's really funny. And there's another girl, I don't rep her but her name is Christine Snaps. And like anyway, talking to other creators that are in that niche and figuring out how fast they grew and what are some of the tricks that they do, that's what I would focus on. In terms of, if we're going to assign somebody on, like, I'm looking at my competition. So I'm like, okay, let's say someone has 500,000 followers, but they're like someone I see is going to be talented. Like, I'd rather sign them now before they get to like the next level where then 10 of my competitors are trying to sign them. I'd rather take a risk on someone that I could see is going to grow a lot, but at the same time, sometimes I even tell those people like, hey, listen, I really want to work with you. I know you're going to grow. I'm going to be a resource for you. Anything you need, just call me. But, they might not get the same level of brand deals or like, not that they're not going to get as much attention, but like, if I'm working with, other talent that's like, bringing in constant deals because they're at a bigger level, like we're upfront about it, is like, you're not going to get that same level of management because you're not there yet, but like, if you want to work with us, and a lot of times what I'll do in that situation is I'll offer them like, hey, we'll do a non-exclusive. That way, like, if you're signed to me, you won't get the services of like full of like, what's it called? Like, of exclusive management. But that way, if you have somebody else comes along that is willing to invest more time into you at this stage, then you could be like, you know what, Ari, I'm going to go work with that person. And then I'm like, okay, of course, like, that's better for you, right? Is I'm not going to hold you back. But at the same time, it's like, if you want to hold out to where you're at that level and you want to work with what I think is the best of the best, then stick around, don't sign with or it's like, just don't sign with anyone yet. You can still call me, pick up the phone, and I'll still pick up the phone and give you advice, like, but so that's kind of how I handle just people that are still growing and stuff like that. I would love to work with everyone, but at the same time, it's like, I want to make sure that everybody that we sign has a level of attention to where nobody's like, hey, I worked with Ari and I never talked to her. I don't want to have anybody on my roster that I'm not speaking to once a week,
Yeah, so it's more of a, this is where you prove to me that you're serious about it kind of phase.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, like, I might have a manager that works for me that I'm like, you know what, you got to talk to this person. This person will see the value, see the, like, Diomi on my team, he works with a lot of like the models. And like, there's one kid that's like, I think he's at like, we took him at 300,000 on TikTok because he's a good looking kid. He's a hard worker. We really liked his family, and like, he's growing like crazy. And Diomi knows how to work with models. I never had any experience with like models. So, but he was like, I want to rep this guy. I see him and I'm like, yeah, let's sign him, So a lot of time it's also too, like, if the manager like sees something in you that they can build.
What's your experience with working with people that do like stand up?
So my first client, actually, like, she's really funny, but like, stand up is hard. I mean, actually, I work with Natalie Friedman, and she's a great example of somebody that's been in the social media game for a long time. Actually, I got her on TikTok, and literally she posted one video of her with Cardi B, and like, it blew up. She got like 10 million overnight. And, now she has like several million followers. And she was like, I don't get TikTok. She is signed to Gersh, and they bring her opportunities. I'm not, it's not really super my wheelhouse. But if you wanted to like that's somebody I would connect you with, of like somebody to give you good advice, is Natalie, because that's what she like has been building this whole time. So, but somebody like Natalie, like, she hustles, man. Like, she sees a celebrity that she can do the impression of, and she'll go up to them like, and sometimes that's what you got to do. Like, you can't be scared of like, oh, my peers are going to like think I'm a loser because I'm going up to Cardi B. It's like, are they paying your bills? No, then who gives a like shit? Like, go do what you know is going to grow you, as long as you're not being rude or like, you know what I mean? But she goes for it. And sometimes some people might be like, oh, that's too, like, I don't like that. But guess what? Like, because she's done that, she's gotten herself to another level,
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending the time, taking the time to answer that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I gotta say you're dropping some major value bombs right here. Like I feel like this right here alone should be like a.
I love this because this is like I know my shit in this space.
No, it is cool. Like I kind of like doing it this style in a way, like just the like organic back and forth. Kind of reminds me of like Joe Rogan, where it's like you could do a quick 5-minute talk, but when you get to hear someone for like an hour, it's like, damn, any question Ari's getting like thrown her way, she's giving like a fire answer. Where if it's like a 3-minute segment on TV, you can't really see that thing. You know what I mean? You don't really get to see like because if everybody asks you a question, you're like, I don't know, then it'll be like, all right, she just has talking points. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Where you're over here just like crushing it. Everybody's like, wait, I gotta go do some stuff now. I'll be right back. I gotta go execute. Yeah.
I don't mind. I love Joe Rogan. That's like the only thing I actually like have time to listen to. So.
Real quick, what's your favorite Joe Rogan podcast episode? Do you have one?
Oh my gosh. I was listening one the other day. I don't even know who was on it, but they were just like riffing back and forth and like they were just ripped like he's drunk. I don't know. I forget which one it was, but it was like it was my favorite one. I listen to him all the time. I'm like him where it's like I'm just really curious and I love like just learning stuff, from people that are smarter than me.
You should honestly do your own podcast. I know you don't even have time, but I think a lot of people would tune in just to hear like the insight or the behind the scenes, not like drama wise, but like, hey, you thought it was easy to get to this part, but I'm going to tell you the story of how it all actually went down. Like the whole Super Bowl thing, like that looks easy, but you're like, let's back up 3 years ago and tell you how that actually happened. And it started with blah, blah, you know? Okay. Anyways, go for it, Lena.
Okay, hey. So yes, thank you for being with us so late. Yeah, my question is, so I'm also a comedian and my plan is just to become known for comedy skits, but my actual strength right now is copywriting. That's my business. And I was wondering if there's a way to become valuable to brands. You mentioned that some brands actually prefer direct response. And I actually am really great with email marketing. So
that's so cool. Have you watched, go on YouTube and search, the making of, Dollar Shave Club commercial? Do you know that whole story?
I don't think so, but I know the Dollar Shave commercial. I don't know.
Remember like the one that went super viral?
Right, yeah.
So that guy was actually the founder, I think, of the company, and Kirby, stop. He's eating my carpet. Hang on one sec. Kirby, stop.
You need to give him a Scooby snack. Because Scooby, you know.
Such a brat. Come here, dude. Basically he was like, he had the startup and then he was doing improv and then he was able to like create that commercial, based on his so that's somebody that brought comedy, and that thing like broke the internet. When they first started it, they had to all the servers shut down because it went so viral and so many people were purchasing. And I mean, that company I think got bought like for like $1 billion by like Procter and Gamble or something, I don't know, but like also would go to the Harmon Brothers website. Do you know them? So they have a course. Take that course. It's I haven't gotten through the whole thing, but they've really figured out, like, I would tell influencers, if influencers could like sit through someone else's content, like go take that course, because you're gonna be a better influencer for it. Half of these people won't listen to me, but that's what I would do if I was an influencer. I would go watch that whole course, and then I would become like, a brand would hire me, and then all my stuff would convert like at 10 times the rate what other influencers are converting, and then I'd charge more because I'd be like, I know how to make stuff convert, so.
Okay, yeah, that was basically what my question was like, if I actually, because I'm so great at email marketing and I build like an email list based off of my comedy, and so are there types of brands that would actually value that and be like, okay, we're going to pay you more because I'm somewhat of an agency, not just another influencer, and that. like aspect of it.
Yeah, they would value it. You just need, you know, and I think that's the value of having a manager is they're like your hype man, right? So if I was managing you, I would go around and be like, hey, you know what? I have a really creative person and this is why they're good. And, you know, and it's like, there's so many influencers, like to know what someone's backstory is for a brand, like a brand manager. I mean, like they just don't know. Right. So I think like, you know, the value of, being in my position right now is that I'm seeing what the brands need. And then I know the kids, like I know the people in and out, like I know who they are. And so it's like very easy for me to be like, oh, let me connect the dots real quick. Like, and then I pitch and then I'm like their hype man, you know, like it's crazy because like the coffee family, they're huge. Like they probably have like, I don't know right now, like 25 million followers combined. And some people never heard of them, you know what I mean? And I'm like, what? Like, and then I'm like pitching and all I want is, oh, I just want to work with Charlie and or Addison's like, why? Because those people got a article in the New York Times and everybody picked up the New York Times article that day and read the same article. And all these executives were like, we got to get on TikTok. Oh, who's the biggest people on TikTok? It's these 5 people. Okay, well, there's like 500 other people that are amazing. They just don't know them. And would they want to invest in them? Yeah, probably. They don't know who they are. They're not on TikTok every day. So, you know, it's important to like, that's why I think like press is important, collabs, like doing YouTube, you know, searchable content on YouTube. Somebody told me that TikTok is searchable through captions. You know, like I don't know, like do a YouTube video that's like copywriter turned TikToker, like anything that you would want like the press to write about, make a YouTube video. And you know, I'm not gonna talk about SEO, but like make a YouTube video and make that the caption, the title of the thing is whatever someone's searching for, you know.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's all I had. Thank you for clarifying that.
And honestly, I would go and look at every brand that works with the Harmon brothers or that does that type of marketing, and I'd reach out to them and I'd be like, hey, this is my experience. Like, I really liked your, you know, go to Poopery and be like, hey, I'll make sick TikToks for you because I get you, you know, and they're gonna be like, oh, let's do it, you know.
That's a really good idea. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you. Sorry, I was okay. See you later.
If you're really confident in what you do, don't even get Poopery to hire you. Just make a dope Poopery video, make it go viral, and then Poopery, not only Poopery is going to come to you, but every other brand's going to come to you and be like, hey, do what you just did for that brand, you know? So.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Like, don't wait for them to come to you. If you really like the brand, you support and you love it, and you're just happy to create content for it, they're probably going to choose you over the other person going viral who doesn't even know who you are or anything.
When we were first working with the Lopez brothers, there was this song that came out and it was like the chip. It was like fighting the chip, and they used a Chipotle bag and they weren't working with Chipotle. And so when I talked to Chipotle, I was like, oh, and by the way, they already did a Chipotle video. And then of course Chipotle was super excited, you know, like they're like, oh yeah, of course we'd love to work with like people that are already engaging with our brand. What's up, Sean?
It's Schwan. How you doing?
Oh, Schwan.
Hello.
Nice to meet
All
you.
good. So I'll get right to it. I myself am a media manager, so kind of not really the influencer in this group. I manage an IG for a pro soccer player, a rapper on TikTok, and I'm bringing a WNBA player onto TikTok because she's doing pretty well on IG and wants to drive more traffic from this platform. And you seem to be doing like what I want to be doing in the future, and I want to be driving revenue for clients through these platforms. So when the issue isn't finding elite talent or talent that I know I can grow and see revenue from, do you have guidance on what I can do to leverage what I'm doing into like a space or a place where I can learn and actuate strategies just to further it along?
What kind of space do you want to get into? Like,
So that's what I'm looking at. I was working at an agency before, but left it so I could do more freelance work and learn about and generating revenue from it. It's been amazing doing that. But
well, the value of working with celebrities is like I worked with Canelo Alvarez, the boxer, before the Triple G fight, and I was doing all his content on his platform. Now Canelo was making hundreds of millions of dollars, so like I try to bring him deals and like but really what I was doing is he cared about his persona, and he wanted to be like he wanted to get the same attention that Mayweather gets, that, Conor McGregor gets. And it had to be really strategic because Canelo doesn't speak English. So in order for American audience to connect with him, so what I found with him is that he loved music, and so me and my partner at the time, we had contacts in the Latin space, but a lot of people love boxing, and so that was like a little bit of it was like I had like French Montana hitting me up being like, hey, I'll collab with Canelo, like I'll post him on my thing, like I just want tickets to the fight, or like Drake. And so what we did was it ended up, if you go and there's a song with that just came out with Will.i.am and J Balvin. At the time, Puerto Rican singers would never collaborate with a boxer from Mexico because it's like rivals, but Canelo really connected with the Latin music, and so we brought in J Balvin to meet him. Now there's a song where literally like J Balvin shouts out like, be like Canelo in the ring, I'll knock you out. And my partner at the time, like he was really into Latin music, but he wanted to be like creating content for Canelo, like ongoing. And because he like bridged those two worlds and offered a ton of value to Canelo, like, and then other boxers started seeing like what he was doing and they wanted to work with him. So I guess what I would say is like, keep doing what you're doing, use your contacts, and then just expand your reach and relationships to other areas, to where people see like, oh, he built that for whatever basketball player, like now I'm going to hire him. Then you can get paid a retainer for like I work with like even like Devin Booker, like his guys calling me being like, hey, how can we get him big on gaming, and it's like, I don't know anything about gaming, but I'm just like connecting the dots with like the people that I know. So it's really just everything is about who you know, but like also show value, because if other people see that value, they're going to be like, I want to hire this guy. So look up Krissa Ace on TikTok. She's she has like a ball she balances on her finger, and all her, she's huge, and she's doing we're working with her. I can like connect your athlete with her who's already big on TikTok, and they could do some stuff like, even especially right now, like passing the basketball or something, so
yeah,
just
that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I really
like a good example of it too is like Jason Derulo. It was so funny. 2 months ago, I was at sushi with my friends, actually with like some of my talents, the younger ones, and my friend Jenna was with Jason at the table next to us, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Jason Derulo. He's with, and the girls were like, what is he saying again? And I'm like, oh my God, it's Jason Derulo. And then next thing you know, because Jason hangs out with Jenna, who's an Instagram girl who's connected to and I don't know how it all connected, but all of a sudden he's doing content with the Lopez brothers, with Addison, with all these huge TikTokers. If I asked a TikToker who's Jason Derulo, they'd tell you right away today.
Right.
2 months ago, they didn't even know what he sang or who the hell he was. That's crazy, right? So you connect, make one of your talents, athletes, Jason Derulo, where everybody on TikTok knows who he is. All of a sudden you rebranded them to a whole new audience and never heard of them.
Right. Okay. That's what I was trying to do with the rapper. He was a case study because I gave him growth that he hadn't seen before, and I did it with a budget, with zero budget, basically. He gave me a budget, and I was able to do it for free. And that's how the WNBA player who I was friends with was like, okay, now I want you to help me out, because I'm unlike him. I'm already doing well on IG and have a presence. It's going to be easier for you to steamroll.
Yeah, or have them like repost. Like I'm friends with King Sam. He did the drip song, and he's like, hey, I don't even have a TikTok, and I've got all these people remade my song, and I'm like, and he reposts them to his Instagram every day, like, and then they want to make that song so they can share,
Right.
followers on each platform. The other thing, like another good strategy was Kid Leroy. He somebody that works at Columbia, I introduced to Addison like several months ago, and they literally made a song called Addison Ray. So
right. Yeah, I
of
remember
course she's
that.
going to post that. To pay any of those people to promote your song, it's a lot of money. I don't know if it was paid or not. I really don't know. But all I'm saying is if I'm a talent and somebody makes a song about me, I'm sure as hell going to post it because it's a flex, right? So
We
I'm
were
talking about rappers.
discussing that, the rapper and I. He was like, who can I do? Like Madison Beer, Charlie, Dixie, like who's smaller?
Have him do Daisy Keach,
Daisy.
and like something like she's a bad bitch. Like she came out, you gotta like almost follow. Sometimes with rap, it's like about following the drama and like making a song about it. You don't have to like it, but it's like you got to tell him the who's who on TikTok, right? Like and tell him what would make a good song, or even just if he already has a song, just shouting them out in it. There's actually, I'm creating that group and it's the Girls in the Valley. And I was talking to my friend at Capitol Records, and he's like, there's actually a song called Hose in the Valley. And he's like, we were like joking about it. He sent it to me and I'm like, dude, that's actually a really good song. Like, could they take off the hose and replace it with Girls? And then I'll like use it as their theme song. He's like, I don't know, actually, let me ask him. So they got me the track and it bleeps out the hose part. And so I'm having like, I'm gonna see if they'll remake it, but it's just ideas like that like, what value are you providing? Like these TikTokers probably don't have friends that are rappers that can just remix a song that's like trendy with shouting them out. That's like, it's like somebody like Canelo, the fact that J Balvin shout him out in the song, like he'll do anything for J Balvin now, probably. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they've created like a bond.
A mutual respect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Well, that's all I got. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Sean. Good questions. Well, you know what? I know.
I'm gonna pee inside the house, maybe.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like, I know there might be a few more, but you've honestly been here for almost 3 hours, which is insane. I think you actually now have the record for the longest Q&A interview call and stuff like that. So, one, I want to personally, because I learned a lot. I have my own little notes. I was like, oh, I've got to remember that one. One, I want to say for myself.
Michael, did I redeem myself from
100% you did. Yeah. I was like, I was sending people texts when you guys were like talking and I wasn't on camera. I was like, yo, you're asking about the Q&A. I promise you it's so worth it right now. Like, why are you not here right now? It's so good. It's so valuable. So that being said, for myself, thank you so much. Super appreciate your time. And if people want to like find out more about you or like with your management or work with you, like people that are brands or people that are advertising agencies right now, they want to collaborate and work with TikTok influencers, how can they best find you and contact you under those like circumstances?
So my email, if you email me at ceo@influences.com. My Instagram is Little Miss Jacob. We have @influences. I have a TikTok @Little Miss Jacob, but email is probably the best. A lot of people DM me, but like, if you reach out on both platforms, that'll always like get my attention because I do end up like looking at those things, and it's just a matter of like when I get a second to like go through everything and like do my homework on somebody, So, and just understand that like we're growing too. So if I don't get back right away, I'm not like. It's funny because like I don't know if you guys remember like back in the day, Gary Vee used to like answer every single email, like, and that's I feel like how I was been like up until this point, and now it's like, I definitely I'm a little slower to get back, but definitely like, actually too. Don't get offended if I see your thing and I open it. If you message me on Instagram and then it says seen. Because it's like, at least I open it and then probably I'm so ADD, someone else started talking to me, but then it doesn't mean I didn't retain it. It's like I saw it, I opened it for a reason and then I'll come back to it. But, sometimes you just gotta be persistent. Like I managed this kid, Adam, who like literally like messaged me so many times and like, I just didn't connect it. And then finally when I got on the phone with him, I'm like, I freaking love this kid. And he's like, dude, Ari, like, I just want to sign with you because like you literally like wouldn't answer your phone and he was like a Disney star. He's like a Disney star. His dad like is like a business consultant, works with like Bill Gates. Like he became like one of my like closest like friends, even like his family. So anyway, but we always joke about it because he's like, you blew me off. I'm like, I didn't blow you off.
Yeah, like I promise I'm trying my best. It's a little chaotic sometimes. So
very few and far between that like someone gets like my full undivided attention. So hopefully hopefully I did that today. And
no, you definitely killed it. I promise you. There's a lot of messages I'm getting private. They're like, how do we get her again? How do we get more like this? This is crazy.
I'm happy to come back, and I'm happy to bring some of my talent on and anything like that.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody watching, make sure to go check her out. If you're watching the replay, check her out. And then if there's anybody that's watching this that, you want to find out more about the influencers, how to like actually work with each other one-on-one, not to be friends and chat, but like actually like, hey, we were looking for talent for this specific thing. Definitely reach out to Ari. You can, all the ways she said, I'll have in the description, all the links and everything.
And if you want to see who's on my like current roster, the most updated place is follow influences, because there's a highlight with that says signed roster, and you can just go through the highlight and you could swipe up and go to their TikTok pages. And then you also have their individual email. So if you want to work with an influencer, if you email any of them, my team will get back to you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much. Ari, thank you so much. Shout out to Scooby in the background. He's probably like, thank me. I have to pee so bad. But yeah, thank you so much. Mega appreciate it. Everybody have a good night.
Bye.